Hello, everyone, and welcome to the P1 Broadcasting Channel. I'm your host, Mark Murphy, and alongside, as always, it's Sam Crow, and it's Thursday night. And Sam, that must mean we're here for more exciting Blackmagic Studios Grand National Series action, brought to you by the American Motorsports Association. It is the start of the second season, Sam. The points reset. Guys went to the playoffs. Greg Evans walked away with the first portion of the regular season, but now it's time to see if some other drivers, Ryan O'Donoghue, who accumulated the most points, he's looking to lock himself in. Dylan Godnez, he won a race. Nolan Milnes, Kyle Heath, he's here, he's ready, he's hungry, he's going to see if he can dethrone Greg. What are you looking for out of the second part of the regular season, Sam?
I'm looking for more of the same thing. Hey, strap on your guitar tonight. Let's play some country music and let's see if people can get their dog back and their marriage fixed and everybody just comes out sober. What do you think?
You know, you know what you get when you play the country music record backward, don't you, fans?
All those things.
You get all of those things back. But we are excited to bring it to you tonight. This is kind of a one-off. We're going to have the race tonight here at Nashville. We will be off next week, and then 3 in a row: Daytona, Pocono, and Atlanta. So 3 big-time super speedways before we take off the week of July 4th. But Sam, I'm looking forward to it. It's the first part of the season was a ton of fun. And speaking of a ton of fun, I bet if I pop up the leaderboard here, you're going to see a familiar name and at the top.
That would have to be Ryan O'Donoghue.
It is Ryan O'Donoghue.
The one-armed bandit.
The one-armed bandit is back on the top spot in practice, followed very closely by Greg Evans. Kendall Paul, he's in third. He actually, after his equipment failures last week, he went out and brought a brand new Fanatec podium setup. So look for Kendall to not have those issues. Yeah.
Wow. No holds barred with Kendall Paul then.
No, he got the same setup that I bought 4 years ago. Anyway. Tonight's race is from the Nashville Superspeedway. It's a 1.3 miler, Sam, so it's not really quite a super speedway, but it's not really a short track either. It's kind of in between.
It's really Dover 2.0, just without the banking. It offsets itself simply based on the fact that the track is so much wider, but because it is concrete, then you find yourself minimalized by the lanes that you can run. You get the same kind of feel as far as tire wear, bumps in the track.
Oh, it's bumpy.
And things like that. But I've always just kind of looked at it as the crossover between what Dover is and what a cookie cutter asphalt track would be. So I just kind of call it Dover 2.0, but just without the high banking.
You know, that's a great way to put it, Sam, and we do want to thank everybody for tuning in. We've got people that watch the pre-race show here, Sam. Shelby Carricker is already back, and thank you so much, Shelby.
What?
Shelby is back. Thank you so much for the super chats, and we do appreciate that as always. Donald Green's in here.
Troy has really got a good fan base. It's really nice to see folks turn out and support these drivers for their hobbies. A lot of people look down on folks that do this kind of thing and they think it's a waste of time, but whether you're whittling wood figures, bowling in an alley, throwing darts at a wall, or iRacing, people have different hobbies, and it's really nice that people like Troy Carrickers gets that kind of support.
It is indeed. So it's funny you mentioned Dover. The Nashville Superspeedway was built by Dover Downs Entertainment, also known as Dover Motorsport. So when you said Dover 2.0, that definitely clicked. 1997 was when they announced it. The track launched in 1999 and was opened for racing in 2001. It was originally used mostly for open wheel races. IndyCar was the headliner here for many, many years. NASCAR never brought the Cup cars here until after the pandemic, when they decided to make a race in Nashville at the Superspeedway. The Indy cars had moved downtown for a street race, and so they brought the Cup cars here. The track holds about 25,000. It used to have, if you go back and watch some of the older Xfinity Series or Busch Series races, or even some of the old IndyCar races from the early 2000s, you'll see grandstands that go more or less all along the front tri-oval area. Those temporary grandstands are now gone. So the track only holds about 25,000, but it's a nice number, and there are a ton, Sam, of automobile racing fans in the state of Tennessee. The track is not necessarily in Nashville, though. It's actually in my goodness, Lebanon, Tennessee. So it's what, 45 minutes outside?
Yeah, it's not like Charlotte and Concord. Concord's probably more like 30 minutes, but the same kind of principle. But the largest municipality, of course, being Nashville, gets more notoriety. Nashville actually is the fastest growing city in the United States, next to Austin. So,
indeed, it's don't try to buy a house over there. It's incredibly insane. The other fun part about this track is that it's measured differently. So NASCAR's official measurement for the Speedway is 1.33 miles. IndyCar measures it at 1.333 miles. So some kind of...
Always trying to be better.
Always, yeah.
IndyCar is always trying to be better.
Well, they are a little bit faster. We're gonna have to we're gonna go ahead and pump the times up, Sam. The fast lap right now, owned by Ryan O'Donohue, 30.374. Greg Evans, Kendall Paul, Dylan Godinez, Joseph Klein are the top five as they head for qualifying. Less than a minute left. The track record here, Sam, 22.9685. Sam Hornish Jr., 2003. That's hauling it. I believe that's well over 200 miles an hour.
I've raced the DW12 here, and this track will humble you in an open wheel car. There's just no two ways around that.
It will indeed. The Xfinity Series track record, well, that's AJ Allmendinger, 2022, 31.214. So we're going to see faster lap speeds here tonight than they do in real life, and that's likely down to the age of the scan and the temperature and all of that. So look for some extremely quick speeds. We're gonna get the scoring pylon out of here because, Sam, it's time to qualify. We've got 30 cars signed in for this one. 30. So a huge field one more time here in the Blackmagic Studios Grand National Series. Who should we watch?
Sir.
Who should we watch qualify? Who do you want to see?
Well, I've really been impressed with Joseph Klein and the gains that Joseph is making in the races, especially these last few races, and how he's really just trying to hone his skills. So if we can jump in the car with Joseph, that'd be great.
You know, we absolutely can do that. Waiting on him to
grid.
Yeah, waiting on him to sign on in, get in the grid. We do have one car out there.
There's a cloud coming out, so there may be some drivers just waiting just a moment for this track temp to drop.
There are indeed. Troy Carricker, he's headed right out onto the speedway in the 94 Sheffield surveying machine. We'll go ahead and show him just to start off with, and then we'll get Joseph Klein up. He is not currently in the automobile, so don't think that we're sleeping on Joe.
No, he's top 5 in practice. I think with the way that he's really been trying to race lately, I think that he'll probably want to make a qualifying run tonight.
There he goes. There's Troy Carricker. He is on lap 1 now. Is this a first or a second? Is this a first or a second lap?
Well, if you can control the car can get a little loose on cold tires. But if you're good with the throttle control and you can get the car to the bottom, you can turn a fast lap on your first lap. But a lot of guys will burn that fast lap just to get heat in the tires. Myself, I have found that the third lap has usually been my fastest lap here, but we're only running a 2-lap qualifying.
Yes, we are. There's Troy Carricker. He goes through the iClock. 31.105 for his first lap. He's on his second. We'll see if this one is any faster. Nolan Milnes is on the provisional pole. We'll see Troy Carricker come off of turn number 4 down the front stretch. Here he is. Under Barney, the flagman stops the clock at 30.098. So he did get a little bit faster. And here is Joseph Klein. So put Troy Carricker into 5th position provisionally. And let's contrast this with the run for Joseph Klein. Sam wanted it. Here he is. Taps the wall a little bit. Got to be careful of that.
Yeah, he tried to get a little bit as much entry as he could get right there. A lot of drivers like to get it down to the bottom and see if they can't get a low run off of turn 2. These walls here come out really quick at you because as the run goes during these races, the car will tighten up. But Joseph is running a conventional line here. He's not doing anything out of the ordinary. This will be his first of 2.
Second of 2 now. And there you see him. He is not quite getting down to all the way to the line.
Yeah, he's not. He gets a little bit of wheel input there coming off of 2.
Here he is through
now
3.
It's critical. Really, he's hugging the line. Right, that's a great line through 3 and 4. He's hugging it down at the bottom, gets as much run off the top side, lets that wall meet him in the middle, and he gets a good run right there. Much better second lap as he qualifies P3.
P3 for Joseph Klein. We do have, let's see, who else we have out on the course. Here's Donald Green.
Rick Fallis up there with a nice lap in 4th position.
Yes, it is.
Rick Fallis is a qualifier. He's very fast when it comes to qualifying.
Yes, he is. Speaking of qualifiers, you know who just went to the top of the chart?
I can't imagine if the one-armed bandit would do something like that.
He did indeed. He did go to the top. One of the cars there are 2 cars that have not yet pulled out onto the course. We're watching Donald Green. He takes a lurid slide coming off of turn number 4 on his hot lap. 37.373 is going to be the lap for Donald Green. Meanwhile, nobody else is coming out on the track, and that's to include both Greg Evans and Kyle Heath. So there's some heavy names that have not taken time. Greg Evans, Kyle Heath.
I did have a conversation with Greg Evans today, and Greg had mentioned that he may not qualify tonight, and so apparently he's held true to his word.
He is a man of his word. There you go. 20 some odd seconds left. He is not going to do so. No time to get in a lap now. So Joshua Siegfried, Greg Evans, Ted Craven, Justin Osterman, Kyle Heath, and the boss man, David Dunwoody, they have not set a qualifying time as we tick down to the final grid, Sam.
There's some fast cars that are back here that haven't qualified, but I will tell you, this track will test you just in simply how quickly the tires will degrade. It's not unusual to start losing as much as anywhere between 0.8 to a second after 15 laps or so, 15, 20 laps. It's just that aggressive on the tires, especially if you're just depending on how hard you push the car. Of course, in stage racing, and we do have stage racing here in the AMA. Again, as we pointed out in a lot of these races, these drivers are very cerebral in how they approach those first 2 stages to learn what the car can do, how hard they can push it, and what they may be able to do and not do in the final run. It's my hope tonight that we'll see some fast racing in the first 2 stages. The guys will push the limits to see what they can get out of the tires, and then in the last run, I would like to see a little more strategy played out.
There you go. Speaking of the strategy, how about the starting grid? Ryan O'Donohue, the one-armed bandit. He's on the pole, 153.190 miles an hour. Nolan Milnes, he's going to start in second. Trevor Binns, Joseph Klein, they'll make up row 2. And Rick Fallis, Rick D, makes an appearance in 5th. He'll be joined by Jason Heaney in 6th on row 3.
Great qualifying effort by Rick. Yep.
Yes, indeed.
Rick's making his presence known already. That's good.
Lee Campbell will go 7th. Kendall Paul 8th. Michael Moquin in the number 8 will be 9th. And Austin Hund is going to round out your top 10. In 11th, Dylan Godness. How about Troy Carricker? Shelby, You guys going to get a top 12 start. How about that? Corey Crandall will go 13th. Keith Graham 14th. Edwin James is going to be 15th in that 46 car. He'll be joined by John Hutchins in the 72 in row number 8. Brian Wasserman, he'll roll 17th. Brian Sharp is 18th. He'll try to watch out for the trees this evening, but he'll go 18th in the 125. James Hodgson 19th. Vance Fisher will round out your top 20 in the 73.
Just so our fans will know, not to be confused tonight, we've got Austin Hunn in the field tonight running, and he actually qualified in the 10th spot. Great qualifying effort by Austin Hunn, and so he'll be in the 03. Rick Ballas's car will actually be throwing in the 03 at the moment, but there'll be an update coming for that car. He actually will be scoring in the 10. So that very iconic paint scheme, Marty Robbins paint scheme that he's running, will be running with a 10 next week on it.
There we go. Braden Langley is going to go 21st. Eric Corder 22nd. Sean Merriman, Mark Owlett will be 23rd. Sean Merriman is 24th. Donald Green, your final car to take time. He'll roll from 25th. Not taking time. So these cars did not take time. Greg Evans, David Dunwoody, Justin Osterman, Joshua Siegfried, Ted Craven, and Sam will not be scored, we promise.
I tried so hard to let them get me to race, but they wouldn't. They said I didn't meet the age requirements. Here we go. We're getting ready to go to green. Let's buckle them up and get into some fine steel guitar action here at Nashville Superspeedway.
Here they come, Sam. 31 of iRacing's finest. Underneath Barney.
Corey Crandall moving around there in the midfield. Big jump by Ryan O'Donoghue here. That's a big jump considering that it's an even start.
Yes, it is, and there they are. Everybody safely through turns 1 and 2. Ryan O'Donoghue has the lead. He's being followed by Nolan Milnes and Trevor Binns. Those are your top 3. We've made one lap, Sam, 1 of 188. Now, we do have stages here in the AMA, as Sam alluded to earlier tonight. Those stages
we're 3 wide, going into 1. Dylan Godinez sticks it down low. Lee Campbell in the middle. Rick Fallis is up high.
Everybody makes it through. Absolutely everybody makes it through. That's Rick Fallis. Rick D on the top line in the Marty Robbins machine. It's numbered 03. It's 10 in the scoring pylon. And so just make a mental note of that. Michael Moquin is going to go underneath him.
Ooh, that wall crash. He brushes the wall coming off of 4.
Yes,
still a lot of hard racing going on right there. Corey Crandall's on the inside of him.
Yes, he does. Corey Crandall is going to make the move past. Ryan O'Donoghue sets the fastest lap. And already Rick Fallis has fallen 6 spots. He is going to now be in the clutches of Troy Carricker. Carricker will throw it down the inside. Move Troy Carricker, if he can hold it, up to 11th. Careful, boys. He is just going to get that move done. Now, if you're going to make moves here, Sam, you almost have to do so on the inside, correct?
Yeah, there is an outside line here. If you look very carefully, you'll see that there's a rubber trail that's about a car width off of the bottom of the racetrack. So typically there is a line out there, but you really have to pinch the car to the very bottom of the racetrack. And a lot of the passes that you're going to make are going to be on the bottom. However, you will find some drivers that are very skilled at running that outside line. But I'm telling you, it's precarious out there because you're putting a lot of trust on the guy that's on the inside of you if you do that.
Yes, you are. And Rick Fallis, Rick D is going to get it in line. He'll pull it in right behind Austin Hunn. So
Austin Hunn, right.
13th for Rick D. Right now, you've got Ryan O'Donoghue. He has reached out and raced away to a 1.1 second lead over Nolan Milnes, Trevor Binns. So you've got Ryan O'Donoghue out here. He is leading by a long shot, by over a second already. Then you've got this kind of a second group.
I'm so surprised he's jumped out to this big of a lead.
Yes, he is. But you see, he's jumped out to that lead. And then you got this knot of 4 cars here. That's Milnes, Benz, Klein, and Heaney. They are 2 through 5. So here's your top 5. And then there's a third group that's headed up by Dylan Godinez And that's really...
And he's really getting shaken by Kendall Paul right here. Kendall's looking underneath him, and he's actually on the inside of him as they go into one.
That is legal here in NASCAR style racing. You can go down on the apron. Kendall Paul drills the bottom groove. He's going to try to get by. He's going to try to get by Dylan Godness. This is the battle.
That's not going to be an easy pass. That will not be an easy pass.
No, it is not. Paul right on the yellow line. Dylan Godness is in that second groove. You got to be careful here, Sam. It's not quite Dover-esque, but that outside wall, especially off of turns 2 and 4, it almost wants to jump out and grab you.
It will. It's just as bad as Dover. It just seems like that wall gets bigger and bigger and bigger as you start to come off of turn 4. But if you see Dylan Godness, he's proving that there is a line there. But my experience is that you really use a lot of that right front tire when you run that outside line and push the car that hard. You don't use it up quite as much on the bottom as you would on that outside line. But Dylan Godness is proving and showing the viewers tonight that there is a second line and that there can be some great racing, as now they're going on their second lap door to door. Kendall Paul's not giving it up easy.
No, and they've got to be careful not to burn up the tires. Further back in the field, Austin Hunt has worked his way to the outside of Troy Carricker, and he's going to make that move work. So put Austin Hunt up to 11th, Carricker back to 12th. Keith Graham wants in a piece of that action. He's going to try to dive to the bottom of Carricker and try to take 12th place away from the man in the 94. That's not going to be an easy thing, but the reason I dropped back to this, Austin Hunt made that move on the outside, Sam.
Again, there is the propensity for you to be able to make those kind of passes. You have to drive the car in much deeper, and you have to be able to put more steering wheel input through center. And then once you use more steering wheel input, it's a gradual piece of throttle control to be able to get a run off. Me personally, at this particular racetrack, I believe that drive off is the most important part of racing here. And so different drivers are going to approach that particular part of the race differently. You'll have some drivers that, as you see here, Rick Fallis is driving it very deep on the high side so that he can get a big run off of 2. Some drivers are going to drive in deep and they're going to use brake, and later on in the run, the drivers are probably going to be using a little brake to get the car to steer down to the bottom and turn in the middle. And then there are other drivers who are going to let off extremely early and coast in to the turns so that they can get to the bottom as quickly as possible and then allow themselves to get big runs. So it's a preferential treatment to how these drivers want to approach the race, how they want to use up their tires, use their brakes. It's so much more, and people don't realize it's so much more than just mashing the gas pedal and turning left.
Now,
There's
Sam,
a lot of factors that come into this thing.
Now, Sam, I did find a guy that's mashing the gas pedal. That's Mr. Excitement himself, the 53, Justin Osterman. He's already made it up. He's made it up. He's made it up to 20 seconds. So Justin Osterman is up 7 spots from the start of this race, and he's following behind. He's following behind the boss man. That's David Dunwoody. That's 21st and 22nd. Meanwhile, just a little bit further up the road, we have you've got John Hutchins in the 72. He's following behind the newly repainted Auburn Tigers machine of Kyle Heath. Heath has made up quite a few as well. Kyle Heath started this race in 26th. He's made it to 18. Yeah, he just moved in 18th. So he's made up 8 spots. Osterman's been on the move. So there has been quite a bit of movement here through the field. Heath trying to pull himself up. One of the names that has not moved a whole lot, well, that's Greg Evans. Very, very careful through the field in the deuce. He just moved around Edwin James to claim 23rd, but he has...
Greg is probably just driving Miss Daisy right now. We'll just call it like we see it.
He's probably trying to stay out of trouble is what he's trying to do, which is different than you and me.
The racing is excellent. These guys are really doing a great job. This is a banging job right now.
Yes, they are. Austin Hunt, there he is. He's got Lee Campbell to his outside. This is a battle for the 9th position. You've got Hunt on the bottom, Lee Campbell on the top. Hunt, he's going to make a run at it.
Really close there on entry. They try to get get as far outside as they can so they can get a little lower entry.
Yes, he
That
will.
exit is so key. Door to door, right there again. There's been some nice door to door racing tonight.
There has been. Do want to thank everybody in the audience. We are, as normal, joined by the luminaries of iRacing. Mike Rigney in the house. Good to see you, Mike. And thank you so much. You better be glad that you're not actually seeing me. I do have a face for radio, and that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. But everybody that's tuned into the broadcast, we most certainly do thank you. If you haven't already, make sure you smash the like button on the video, ring the bell to subscribe to all of P1 Broadcasting's shows. We've got a full lineup. The ISRA on Monday nights is back in action. The open wheel, open and fixed, open wheel, open and oval series. The top split races back on Monday and Tuesday starting next week. The Horizon IndyCar Series is going on Wednesday. We've got the AMA Friday and Saturday. And I hear that Gary Godso is going to have the iRacing IndyCar Series on Saturday as well. So make sure you ring the bell. Check those things out. Sundays, alternating IndyCars, right? With alternating IndyCars with the Dark Horse Series, DW12s, and the DW12s and the IR18s from the Votive Series. There's a pretty big one coming up a couple of Sundays from now, Sam. It's the Votive Indy Derby. You ever hear of such a thing?
I can't say that I have.
It's a pretty big-time race that Shane Coker and his Votive bunch put up. I was the inaugural winner of that race. But it's quickly becoming one of the crown jewels of the community. It's got a nice bit of money to win it.
Now we're starting. I'm sorry, go ahead.
It's got a nice bit of money to win it. Huge turnout, so definitely would love to see everybody tune that in. And then, of course, we've got the P1 600 coming up on June the 7th, 600 kilometers at Michigan. And I'll tell you what else we've got. We've got a battle for a battle for second. Jason Heaney is on the bottom, and he's going to take that spot away from Trevor Benz. So move Heaney up to second. He'll see if he can run down Ryan Donahue. But Ryan O'Donohue...
Benz is not through. He's coming back.
No, he is not. Trevor Ben's going to throw it in on the bottom. He'll do
big run off of turn 4 right with the crossover right there.
So what is that? Just Heaney gets too deep, can't get the drive off. Benz is able to get back to the gas sooner, get the run, and get to the bottom first, going down the front.
That's just usually how that plays out. Sometimes you're on the bottom and you just don't want to wash up the racetrack too much, and so you're just being careful with the throttle. And now we have it's the other way around with Heaney on the outside and Trevor Benz on the inside, and they're door to door as they go back into turn 1. As they're not done with this battle for second place. Now you see Heaney drives it way deep into 1 that time. He has to really get into the binders to get his exit. So now he's cleared Benz successfully. We're in the 20 lap mark. We're just over 20 laps now, so you're going to start seeing some movers and shakers, because 20 laps into these runs, you're going to start seeing who's been able to save tire and who's not been able to save tire. Dylan Godinez is now on the inside of Joseph Klein, and Kendall Paul has got him in tow.
There they go. Dylan Godinez has gone around Joseph Klein. Big time slide job from Dylan Godinez there to pull it up in front of Joseph Klein. So move Godinez to 5th, Klein back to 6th, and Kendall Paul is right there. You've got Michael Moquin. He's in attendance to this too. He's attending the rear bumper of Kendall Paul. Moquin has been kind of quiet, but he has been steadily in this group. Same for Austin Hunn. He's 9th. He's looking for 8th. He's going to try to drive it to the high side of Michael Moquin here.
There's a nice little bunched up group right here. You're seeing some of the guys that have been able to conserve a little bit of tire.
Yes, you are indeed. And don't count out Troy Carricker and Corey Crandall. Carricker and Crandall are just the next couple of cars here. One mistake and they could move themselves into a points-paying position, Sam, before the end of this stage. And remember, we've got a stage break coming at lap 45, so we're 20 laps to it.
Oh, Kendall Paul and Joseph Klein are extremely close.
They're still close.
Now they're going to get battling right here, and as you just mentioned just a moment ago, you're going to find Troy Carricker and Corey Crandall are going to be able to close in on this group because the battle is going to slow their speeds down, and those cars behind are going to be able to close this up and turn it into a 7-car battle.
Yes, they are indeed. You don't.
Look at these lines. Look at the different lines, Mark. Michael Moquin is high, trying to ride middle off. Kendall Paul that particular time he entered low, stayed low. Watch Kendall Paul, he'll enter high here. He's going to try and turn the car down and get a low exit. Nope, he's going to stay up this time.
Yes, he is.
Austin Hunt gets on the inside of Michael Moquin.
Yes, he does. So Austin Hunt is going to make that move. You're watching it from the drone. We'll get back to a more normal camera shot. Mike Rigney is worried about the tires on the number 14 machine. Mike, we can point out that Ryan O'Donohue did slow for a couple of laps. He let Jason. I don't know if he let him. Here comes Troy Carricker. He's going to go to the inside of Lee Campbell. So we'll keep it right here. 2 battles for position here at the back half of the top 10, and that's a points-paying spot, Sam. So. Troy Carricker, he's going to want that. He's going to want to get into that 10th position.
This is a great pack group. Oh, and they make contact this time. It looks like Klein and Kendall Paul make a little contact. Joseph Klein washes up the racetrack, and that's going to cost him several positions because he loses all that momentum. Michael Moquin. Oh, Troy Carricker with a big dive into one on the inside.
Is he going to make it?
That's going to be hard to make that stick.
Not quite.
He's still there. I'm sure the spotter's still telling Lee Campbell he's got a car on the inside. He has no.
Well, he didn't have an angle, and he's going to get a shot from Corey Crandall.
No angle whatsoever.
Yeah, so the angle was way too shallow for Troy Carricker.
Now they have to deal with Kyle Heath.
Yeah, they do. So Kyle Heath has now moved to the back of this. Fight. Kyle Heath is 13th, and he'd also like to score some stage points. Meanwhile, that advance is going to be blocked because Corey Crandall just dropped to the bottom of Troy Carricker. This is the battle for 11th, 12th, and 13th, and here comes Kyle Heath. Crandall makes the move. Carricker going to try to fight back on the outside, though, Sam.
I love the racing that we're getting here tonight, and these drivers are not going to concede these positions easily. Carricker looks on the inside. He's already proved that he's not afraid to dive it into 3. That's a tough pass when you get that low angle and you drive it in that deep. It's hard to get the drive off.
Yes, it is. Do want to check in on the weather. The sun has gone down. The lights are on here in Nashville. The track temp has dropped. 84 degrees on the track.
Since qualifying, yeah.
84 degrees, puff of wind out of the south-southwest. And so perfect, cool conditions here to go fast, and these drivers are taking great advantage of it. 31 of 188 laps complete here in the Blackmagic Studios Grand National Series. By the AMA, Ryan O'Donohue, your leader, Jason Heaney, Nolan Millis, Dylan Godnez, Trevor Benz are your top 5. We are watching the battle, call it from 9th to 13th here. That's the Goodyear machine up there of Lee Campbell is at the front of this train. He's got a challenge from Joseph Klein.
I believe that Joseph Klein has been bleeding a few positions here late in the run, and so Lee Campbell's been trying to get around him on the outside for the last couple of laps.
He has. Klein hanging tough on the inside. Carricker gets back around Corey Crandall. That will move Carricker back to 11th. Kyle Heath is trying anything he can to get himself up to.
I think he's being patient with these guys. I really do. I think Kyle Heath knows that he has some speed, and I think he's actually being really patient with this group and allowing them to race it out. Kyle Heath has proved that he has speed everywhere he goes. I think being the consummate veteran that he is, I think that he's going to pick and choose how he makes his passes now.
Yes, he is. And how would you feel if you were Troy Carricker here? I've got a mind to believe he's probably faster than the 2 cars in front of him. He just has nowhere to go. Lee Campbell is hung up on that outside. Carricker, he's going to drop it to the bottom. See if he can't dispose of Lee Campbell and maybe have him. And maybe have a go at.
Let's see if he does that big dive in here. Yeah, he sure does. Into 3. He sticks it. Oh, he about washes up the racetrack into Lee Campbell there, but he manages to make it stick, and he gets a good drive off of 4 here. Good pass by Troy Carricker, and now he's looking at Klein.
Yes, he is. Here comes Troy Carricker to the bottom of Joseph
Corey
Klein.
Crandall getting in there tight.
This is by far the
Boy,
best.
still big washed up here. Lee Campbell's out on the outside. They are so close.
They are indeed. Thank you, Tion Walker, for tuning us in. Let's go. You're right. Look at this racing from. Look at the racing here. This is not the battle for the lead or even the top spot. This is 9th through 13th, and these guys are having a battle royale. Kyle Heath now drops to the inside of Lee Campbell. He'll have that spot. Thank you so much one more time, Shelby. We definitely do appreciate that. We're gonna get Kyle Heath around Lee Campbell, so move Heath to 12th, Campbell to 13th, and now he's gonna have a look at Corey Crandall.
And that's opened the door for Keith Graham now. Keith Graham is within striking distance of this group as he's just a few car lengths off of Lee Campbell.
Yes, he is. You got it, Tion. This is some amazing racing. Right on the roof of Kyle Heath as he takes a look at Corey Crandall in 11th. I do want to break away from this for just a second to report in that Greg Evans has not mired himself in the back forever. He's quietly made his way in the deuce up to 17th. He was the victor overall in the first half of the regular season. Tonight starts the second regular season in the AMA Grand National Series. They did that to kind of encourage more participation throughout the season, give more people a chance to make the playoffs. And 30 cars tonight, 31 cars tonight, Sam. That tells me they've done something right. Donald Green and Brian Wasserman, just to kind of report in, both have pulled their cars onto.
Well, Donald Green has actually suffered a connection issue.
He has. Okay. Brian Wasserman is on the pit road under repair over 6 minutes. But definitely agree with that, Tion. This has been some incredible racing that we're watching. We'll get back toward the front. This is Kendall Paul. He's working on Trevor Benz, or Benz is, that would be Kendall Paul working on Trevor Benz. This is the battle for 6th spot.
I do want to take just a moment. Ryan O'Donoghue has been the picture of consistency when it comes to practice speed, his ability to race. I mean, he really has. But it's impressed me that he jumped out to that big of a lead at the beginning of this run, and he has maintained that lead.
Yes, it is.
That's impressive at this racetrack. I'm just going to call it out. So it's really impressive to see how Ryan O'Donoghue has jumped out there and been able to maintain that. Jason Heaney has been running similar lap times, and he's just not been able to close the gap. And Ryan is lap after lap after lap. Right, the one-arm bandit is making us the believers that he knows how to save tire.
Yes, he is. He is now. Nolan Milnes of the top 5 is the quickest machine, but he's still 0.6 of a second adrift of Jason Heaney in second. Looking out the back of Ryan O'Donoghue, and there's Ryan. Here's Jason Heaney. We'll give you the view off the top of the Chrome Napa machine, and he's not seeing much but the tail lights, Sam. We are now 3 laps away from the end of the stage. Kyle Heath has made it up to 11th. He is working on Corey Crandall. He may score stage points just yet, Sam.
You can rest assured he's can sniff the top 10. So why would he not just go ahead and try and capture a point? And if you look carefully, we watched Greg Evans move into 14th spot around Keith Graham as he comes off of turn 4.
Yes, indeed. And we do have cars going a lap down. Ted Craven, Braden Langley have gone that lap down, and you're going to see them swinging very well.
Someone's all the way up the racetrack, up at the wall.
That's the teddy bear,
That's
Ted Craven. Yeah, that's the teddy bear. He's letting the lead lap cars go through. Get back to the battle for the final point here. That is Kyle Heath. But we can't sleep on this one either. Troy Carricker is all over the back of Michael Moquin. Moquin is looking to the outside of Kendall Paul. They're almost 3 wide going down the front, Sam.
Oh, just such close racing here.
It is
Carricker
indeed.
with the big run off of 2 here. He's going to try and use the high side to get a little momentum. He's wanting to close in here on Kendall Paul. Let's see if he does that big dive into 3 like he's been doing all night tonight. He sure does, but Kendall Paul drives it equally deep on his side.
He does indeed. This is the battle for 8th and 9th.
Oh, Kendall Paul almost catches the wall, but he gets a big run.
This is going to be the money lap for the stage, Sam. Money lap for the stage. 45 is where the caution is going to come out.
Oh,
Kyle,
he almost loses the back of the car as he closes so fast on Troy Carricker.
yes, he does.
Wow, that was close.
Carricker, is he going to have one more run at Kendall Paul? The answer is no. So Carricker not able to throw it down to the inside. Kyle Heath has designs on 9th, though. He pulls it all the way up to the top of the track. Might have grazed the wall.
Here comes a big run by Corey Crandall. Look at how close this group is together. Look at how many cars are all within a 10th of each other right there.
Whoo-wee, yes they are. But Ryan O'Donohue, the one-armed bandit, he is going to be the stage winner. We'll see if
he's going to be the guy that's mad that there's a caution because he was high, wide, and handsome out there running those laps out front.
Yes, he most certainly was. Let's see if we can't get him up here. Ryan O'Donohue, you got Mark and Sam Crow in the P1 broadcasting booth. You got a copy?
I got you, boys.
We got to know, do you have 2 hands on the wheel tonight?
Nope. Still in a sling.
I was going to say, even if you did have 2 hands on the wheel, Sam was going to call you the one-armed bandit for the rest of your life, so it's all good. Tell us about that first run, man. I mean, that was grab the lead in Adios. What are the plans for stage 2?
Same thing. I have a feeling my tires are going to look pretty good here. That was exactly what we were looking for. I know Greg and Kyle aren't up here, but that went exactly to plan. Figured we'll qualify today because been giving up stage points starting in the back, so I learned my lesson on that one.
We'll hit that mark, man.
There is Ryan O'Donohue, and now that he has successfully made it to the pit lane, Sam, let's move him back to where he was. You see the tires going on the number 14 machine. That is the winner.
Jason Haney with a great stop.
Haney's going to beat him off a pit lane.
Jason Haney killed that pit stop.
Yes, he most certainly did. There's your race off a pit road. Still have some stragglers coming out here, but Jason Haney, he'll win the race off a pit road. He was 0.8 of a second quicker in the box than Ryan O'Donohue. 0.8.
Sometimes it really comes down to where you stop in the box.
Yeah, and
that's just my personal feelings about it. There's been debate about that over the years with iRacing. I just firmly believe, just based on where you hit the mark in that box, is where you can save a 10th or 2 on these pit stops.
Well, and so that's I don't even really think it's a debate. If you go run an open wheel car or a sports car and you have the high detail pit on, if you don't hit your marks, you can actually visibly see the guy drag the tire toward where he's supposed to be changing it, and that does cost you time. And so that's something that absolutely we practice on the open wheel side, is where exactly to hit your marks. Because if your mechanics have to make extra movement, that's time, and it could be the one arm deal for Ryan O'Donohue. As impressive as it is that he's as fast as he is, maybe there are some places that he's at a disadvantage, and pit road is one of them. Maybe he's trying to dial his brake bias. Maybe he's getting a drink of water, doing something else. But you've only got one hand. You might lose a tenth. So. He's got plenty fast.
And we don't know his rig settings. I mean, he could be using. He could actually be using a gear shifter. That he has to free up that moment to be able to gear down or gear up.
You know, you're absolutely right, Sam. He most
Because some drivers use paddle shifters on the steering wheel. Even if you use paddle shifters and you're only using one hand, we're getting ready to go back to green, and we'll discuss that. But
we are, and we're going to watch it from the Mike Rigney seat on top of the.
Big jump by Jason Heaney here.
Yes, it was. We're going to watch the opening lap of stage 2 from the Mike Rigney seat. That's on top of the tower of the grandstand. You get the whole view of the racetrack, and it really does give you an idea. You can see this entire facility from one seat. It's one of the reasons why it is very popular amongst the fans, at least the ones in attendance. Jason Heaney is going to lead away. Dylan Godden is second. Nolan Milnes has gotten through Ryan O'Donoghue for third, put O'Donoghue back to fourth.
Now Heath washes up the racetrack here on the entry. He's going to try and maintain that spot as Corey Crandall looks on the inside of him. And, Crandall gets loose off of 2 right there. The tire's still trying to get a little heat in them. And now we see the Deuce is starting to creep his way right in behind Kyle Heath.
The Deuce is on the loose. Greg Evans, he powers into 10th. Greg Evans into 10th. Kyle Heath 9th. Put Troy Carricker back to 11th. And this is something that we're going to want to watch as these two work their way forward. There they are on top of Greg Evans, looking at Kyle Heath. They're going to try to move forward. Meanwhile, Ryan O'Donoghue has gotten back by Nolan Milnes, so put him third. Jason Heaney has the purple lap. How about that?
Jason proved that he can maintain speed with Ryan O'Donoghue at the end of that run. He was equally turning lap times that were just as fast as Ryan O'Donoghue. O'Donoghue had just gotten out to a big lead, and so now we see Ryan O'Donoghue is trying to navigate through dirty air off the back of the Dylan Godinez car, and they are chasing the 9, and the 9 is out there in happy land with fresh air across the nose.
Yes, he is. Watching some other cars. Speaking of dirty air, Michael Moquin moving into that second lane, trying to get some fresh air on the nose of his Chevrolet. He is followed by Joseph Klein. This is 7th and 8th. Klein, Moquin, he'll move to the outside. I think he's meaning to drive up there, Sam. He's going to try to get that big run down the back all the way to the rear bumper of Trevor Benz. Goes Michael Moquin. Can he make the move, Sam?
Ben saw it coming. I think Ben saw it coming, and he decided that Trevor was going to run that low line and just kind of stop that momentum. I noticed that there were several drivers by the end of that first run. They were actually doing that high entry, low exit so that they could get a lot of speed coming off the corner. Yes, it is a great way to race this racetrack, but it can be abusive to the right rear.
Yes, it can. Look at Michael Moquin power underneath the Austin Hun machine. Yeah, he gets up there, he gets the grip off the right rear, shoots down the hill underneath Hun to put Moquin to 6th, Hun to 7th. Kyle Heath, meanwhile, remains in that 9th spot, but he is not going to be. Well, I take it back. I was going to say it's not going to be long till he's there. He's there now, but Greg Evans, he's got designs on 9th. Here comes Greg to the bottom of Kyle Heath. He's going to try to get 2 for the price of 1 here, Sam.
1 here.
Yep.
He's got his eye on it, and it looks like he's going to pull it off, and Kyle Heath's going to follow him through.
Yes, he does. Meanwhile,
Michael Moquin on the inside of Dylan Godinez as they go into 3. That opens the door for Ryan O'Donoghue.
It does indeed.
It's going to be interesting to see how Dylan Godinez is not an easy pass. He's proved that time and time again, and so Ryan may have his work cut out for him here.
He may indeed. Ryan O'Donoghue has that bottom line, and he has been married to that yellow line. He was one of the few.
You're right. He's been the most consistent, staying glued to that bottom.
There he goes. He's going to get past Dylan Godinez. Next up on the hit parade for Godinez is going to be Trevor Benz. Benz right to the door handle.
They're leaning on each other down the front stretch.
Yes, they are. This is some incredible action here in the Music City 250, the Blackmagic Studios Grand National Series, Xfinity Cars, Nashville. It is a night race. I don't know about you, Sam, but I love racing at night. Real life in the sim. I don't know what it is, but it's a ton of fun, isn't it?
I do too, especially short tracks. I don't know what it is about racing under the lights at short tracks, but it has such a nostalgic feel, and it just brings back the grassroots of um, uh, when lights were being introduced in the 70s for racing and things like that. So it just brings back a lot of nostalgic and great memories for me. I guess that's why I enjoyed it so much.
So speaking of memories, did you go to the 600?
No, I did not.
You
I mean,
did.
it's not that far. It's only an hour and a half from me, but I did not get to go.
Indeed. So, speaking of night races, there's Greg Evans going underneath Dylan Godnez. Kyle Heath, he's going to follow suit. So Greg Evans.
Dylan's going to have to find a way. I'm sure that Dylan's probably asking himself, what have I got to do to stop the bleeding here? Because now he's dropped about 5 positions after he was racing up there in the top 5, and so he's got to find a rhythm again. He's just got to get back in line and get a rhythm here that he can be comfortable with and just follow through.
He does, and here comes Troy Carricker. Carricker trying to get to the inside of Godnez. Godnez is running, and if we get up on the roll bar of Troy Carricker, now he's going to make a joker out of me because he's not going to do it through 1 and 2. But he had been one of the guys that was trying to run that high entry, low exit, and I think it kind of I think it kind of overheated his tires because he has not run that high line on entry. He's still running a little bit higher, but he was a good car width above everybody else on entry for the first part of that run. So let's see, but full send from Troy Carricker, almost gets into the back.
He is consistently being one of the drivers tonight that has decided that that's how he wants to run his car, is drive it really deep in on entry into 1 and 3. Probably using a lot of brake here to get the car to turn in the middle and then try to get drive off. So he's staying with his game plan. He's not altering from it.
He is. There goes there goes Corey Crandall. He's going to make it to the inside of Austin Hund. And they've got company in the form of Sean Merriman, and we have not called Sean's name since the opening of the event. Sean Merriman's making a bid now for 12th, and he's going to grab that spot from Austin Hund. Maybe not quite so fast. They're going to stay door handle door. Dylan Godnez is around.
Dylan Godnez make contact. What a great save by Dylan Godnez, but it really checks up the field behind them. Corey Crandall goes to the outside. Austin Hund, Sean Merriman goes to the inside, and here comes Kendall Paul trying to take advantage of the situation.
Yes, it is.
The only thing hotter than Dylan Godnez's tires right now is his helmet. I'm just telling you, I'm sure he is boiling in that car.
Yes, it was. What a save from Dylan Godnez.
There goes Carricker again on the inside.
Yeah, Kendall Paul backed out of that. He saw that coming. We've got a car on the wall up here. That's going to be Kyle Heath. Kyle Heath is in the wall.
Oh, I don't know what happened here. Greg Evans makes a big run off of 2. There's cars that are checking
Donald
up.
Green hard into the back of Kyle Heath, and that should. Well, it's not going to bring out a caution for Heath.
Oh, I see what's happened here. I see exactly what happened. Michael Moquin goes into 1, and he just really, his speed slows down so much. Ryan O'Donohue closes so fast on him, he gets into the left rear, and then Trevor Benz, Joseph Klein, all those cars begin to check up. Greg Evans catches them. Oh, my heavens.
So Greg Evans gets hit, gets knocked down in the grass. He's going
to he gets run down the racetrack, and then in order to save the car, he comes back up the racetrack and collects Kyle Heath.
And that's not anything Evans did wrong. You can see the flames coming out of the pipes there. He's trying to slow that car down. Kyle Heath gets hard. He gets the worst of it, hard into the outside wall.
No.
And Donald Green is going to come along and just absolutely mow down the back of the number 13. Here comes Donald Green, and let's just watch from the roll bar. You see the car of Kyle Heath up there. Heath is going to try to get this thing.
Yeah, he's saying in comms, Kyle Heath he was telling the other drivers that he has no steering at this point. He has no steering.
And there he is.
So he's got a dead wheel as he's coming off
Boom.
turn 4.
And he just presents, there's traffic, he just presents right in front of Donald Green. Nowhere for Green to go. Heath is punched out. Donald Green remains on pit lane. The battle, though, we stay green. The battle rages. Here's Rhino Donahue. He has got a mirror full, and now he's got a driver's door full.
What a camera angle, Mark. What a camera angle.
Yes,
that's stellar camera work, Mark. Great job. Just simply because Donald, there is no caution. Donald is behind another car, and then all of a sudden Kyle Heath appears.
Yeah, I mean, there's no way you can see him. Rhino Donahue is still in this battle with Trevor Benz. This is for 4th and 5th because Joseph Klein has moved around both of these cars, and they keep duking it out here for 4th and 5th. Wow is right, Mike. Mike Rigney he pops in with the wow. Let's get back here. The action is not at the front. The action is in this.
Jason Heaney has checked. He's actually pulled into Arkansas at this point. He's decided to go to Memphis to get some ribs and come back to Nashville.
Yeah, he has
a 2.5 second lead.
Yeah, there he is. Do want to thank our friends at Whiplash SimCams for the camera angles. There's Jason Heaney. He is your leader, and there is nobody around. That's the distance back to second place. Nolan Milnes, and Milnes has a pretty comfortable cushion over Joseph Klein, Trevor Benz, and Rhino Donahue. That's not the fight on the racetrack, though. The fight on the racetrack is back this away. Austin Hund and Michael Moquin, they're going to have
8th on back.
Yeah, they're going to have at it one more time. Sean Merriman, he's going to stick his nose in there. Meanwhile, Troy Carricker wants a piece, too. I thought they were going to go 3 wide again, Sam.
Oh, there's no doubt these guys are fighting for these positions. And Corey Crandall drives it deep in there, but
he did.
Michael Moquin is just not going to give up these spots that easily.
No, and he's able to get that good run off the high side. Meanwhile, a little bit further back, that's Lee Campbell. He's going to make the dive on Dylan Godnez. And Troy Carricker, they're going to be briefly 3 wide, but Troy Carricker, he'll put it to the inside of Sean Merriman. That's a battle for 10th.
Really surprised at the slow fall by Dylan Godnez here. I wonder if he's just used up too much tire at the beginning of the run, or if he may have wheel damage from a brush up against the wall. It just seems like he's had a steady slide down through the field, and which is very uncharacteristic of him. But we'll find out in the late. Corey Crandall loses control of the car, and Austin Hund and he make contact. Corey Crandall still trying to gather the car up as now that big pack of cars is getting around him on the bottom side.
Yes, it is, and down to the bottom drops Kendall Paul.
May have just gotten in for him on entry here.
He may have, but the battle.
Yes, that's exactly what happened.
The battle still rages, Sam. Is there an automobile, and that might be Ted Craven.
And now we've got Sean Merriman, Kendall Paul, Corey Crandall.
Now we've got a caution.
Oh, heavens. And now, who is that spinning up the racetrack? Is that David Dunwoody is
David
involved
Dunwoody.
in this?
Meanwhile, we had a smoker on the back. I went to identify it. That was Ted Craven that was slow in the grass. He'd made contact and was just trying to limp it home. But caution has fallen on the Nashville Superspeedway, lap 75 of 188. And let's see what we can see. There's Sean Merriman. I believe he's in the wall, even in the backstretch. You've got Kendall Paul underneath Merriman. And that's where this starts.
So close right here on entry.
Yes, they are. So there's Sean.
It's just on that fine line, Mark. It's that fine line if you're looking at the cars where Kendall Paul is on the inside of Sean Merriman. It's that fine line of whether the spotter is saying Carlo or not Carlo. I mean, they are just on that precipice of where the spotter would call that out. And so that may be why you're seeing a little bit of movement there from Sean Merriman, because he may have thought he was clear, but Kendall Paul was still on a drive to go on the inside of him.
Yes, he was. And you saw the contact for David Dunwoody hard. This is the accident from his vantage point. The car's already out of control. He tries to miss it high. Doesn't quite get clear. hard contact from Sean Merriman, and the Magic Man is going to be hurting for certain. That car spins around. It'll slide to a stop, and Dunwoody is already a lap down, and I believe he has towed that machine back to the pit lane. Ted Craven, I might add, did make it back. He is the smoker in his pit box, and so that is a Ford roasting on an open fire. But that's going to give us a caution. And while all that happened, Joseph Klein, Michael Moquin, Jason Heaney, Nolan Milnes, Ryan O'Donoghue, that crew all pitted. And because they pitted, that leaves Greg Evans as your leader. Austin Hund, Lee Campbell, James Hodgson, and Brian Sharp.
Well, we'll only be about 12 laps from the next competition caution.
Yes, so the next
13 laps.
Yeah, so the next stage break is at lap number 90.
Right. So that may be why you're seeing drivers like Greg Evans and others that are staying out on the racetrack.
Now, I did not check it. But is there a limit on the tire sets this evening, or are they unlimited there?
Well, there's 5 sets. There's plenty of tires for the race tonight, and there's actually tires for drivers that want to take a gamble here and try and make up some track position on those that did not pit. So if they want to do that, they have enough tires to make that decision, and that's why you saw a lot of drivers come in to get tires. But it's going to be it's probably going to be a very chaotic restart here, because with cars up front with 30-lap old tires, 30 laps.
Well, and then
I mean,
you've also
talking a second and a half difference in speed as we're getting ready to go back to green.
You've also got to wonder. Greg Evans was involved in the contact with Kyle Heath, and you can see the damage on the front of that deuce.
Yes, sir.
What kind of that car may be hurt, and so kind of keep an eye on that. Here comes the green flag.
Big jump. No, I think that Greg wants to be out where he's not in the mix here. If he can get this big jump and kind of control what he's doing out front, Greg's probably in the better spot. Oh, and they're wrecking behind. Dylan Godnez into Trevor Benz. And now Benz is up into the wall, and that brings out another caution.
Yes, it did. We didn't even we barely got going one more time. Trevor Benz hard into the outside wall, and let's see what we've got for Trevor Benz. The 77 of Eric Corder also involved. They're 3 wide, Sam.
Wow. There's a lot of chat going on in the server. The administrators are trying to calm these guys down. It's a little, we're not even to the halfway mark, and drivers are already really just discussing what's happening here. Trevor Benz hard contact with the outside wall. That's probably going to be significant damage on the 3.
Yeah, and then Eric Corder comes in and kind of finishes that off. I want to watch this from a unique camera angle, Sam. I want to see this from...
Oh, Eric Corder he was as hard on the brakes as you could get. He just could not stop.
No, he couldn't. This is from the nose of Troy Carricker's machine. This is ground level, and you're gonna see the mess and how he misses it, Sam. There's 3 wide in front of him. There goes Dylan Godnez at the bottom. You're going to see Nolan Milnes, or not Milnes, excuse me, Trevor Benz sideways. He barely misses O'Donoghue, and he misses Troy Carricker by just that much. And so that's the situation there for the cars that missed. Here's another great angle. This is from the P1 Airship presented by Whiplash Simcams, and look at these cars here. They're 3 wide. And there's just not room there for Godnez. He throws it down in there. They make contact. And then watch how close this is for O'Donoghue and Carricker.
It's tight racing. You've got these drivers back here that have fresh tires. And then I agree with you, Mark. I think that it was a little too far back to make that aggressive of a move, knowing that there are drivers ahead of you that have older tires. You really have to buy your time on that first lap and allow things to kind of settle out. Trevor Benz was actually already making his move to the bottom to get around Michael Moquin there, and you really have to show some patience, especially even if you have new tires. It just requires a little bit different approach when you're dealing with a field that has such diversity and where they're at with their tire wear.
You do indeed, and this is great news for the guys that stayed out: Evans, Hunt, Campbell, Sharp, and Hodgson. This is great news for them. The more laps they can run under caution, the less
better the track position.
The better the track position, but the less wear they're putting through those well-used Goodyears. They've been out 33 laps.
Oh, and that ends Eric Quarter's night. What a shame! What a shame! You got to hate that for Eric Quarter. Kyle Heath. Kyle Heath is not a happy camper. I'm just going to tell you, Kyle Heath decided that he was going to start in the back of this field, work his way up, and just a misfortune tonight. Just caught up in a very precarious situation, and his car got destroyed, and he's just upset. And I get it because you want to have a good night, and when it doesn't turn out that way, it does get to you.
Yes, it does. Also top night, Sean Merriman, Ted Craven, and Donald Green, they are all on the pit lane with the meatball. We're going to see the caution car come off one more time. We'll get back in the Mike Rigney seat for the restart. Greg Evans, we'll see what kind of jump he can get from Austin Hunt. Green flag is out. Greg Evans streaks away into the lead. Just the inside on that restart, such a huge advantage.
Now see, on that particular restart, you saw a little different approach by some of these cars with fresher tires. Oh, they're 3 wide as they come off a 2.
Well, we got more wreck.
They make contact coming off the 2. Brian Sharp is involved. Several other cars spinning down the backstretch.
Yes, they do. We're going to get in and see what we can see.
That's Nolan Milnes stuck in the middle there. And they made contact coming off, and that includes Michael Moquin, Ryan O'Donohue, Troy Carricker. They're careening down through the infield to the infield wall.
Yeah, so we're going to get
Justin Osterman is involved. Keith Graham is closely involved.
Yeah, and here we go. So the number one in Nolan Milnes, he's racing along with Dylan Godness, Brian Sharp there. That's monkey in the middle there for Milnes. I think Sharp is
Sharp is just trying to keep it off the wall here.
Yeah,
he's probably running older tires, and he's up in that high line, and the wall comes up so fast. I think he's just really feathering the throttle here to keep from pounding the wall. It opens the door for Nolan Milnes to get into the middle, and he's just trying to keep it off that wall. And they just meet in the middle here. Wow. Oh, front end damage on Ryan O'Donohue's car.
Yep, we're going to watch
Michael Moquin's car, front end damage. It looks like Troy Carricker, did he make it to the infield wall?
I don't believe so. We're going to check.
Yes, he did. He did. He hit the left front, went into the infield wall.
Indeed, he did. And for poor Brian Sharp.
Watch out for that tree. George.
An unfortunate circumstance. So here's Nolan Milnes gets into Sharp. Sharp had really nowhere to go other than outside wall, and then there you see Ryan O'Donohue spinning, and there he goes. He'd had hard contact anyway, and then he's gonna clout the inside wall. Heavy damage to the number 14 machine. For Ryan O'Donohue, and I don't quite understand how he got that heavy of a damage. There he is. Okay, so he's going to get in the back of Milnes, and there you see the damage. And I think at this point, before he gets the inside wall, poor Ryan O'Donohue is just a passenger. And there you see the smoke. Troy Carricker, he also gets a piece of the inside wall. It doesn't appear as though the 94 is as nearly as heavily damaged as some of his peers. So
Right,
big,
right.
so big accident here. Greg Evans continues to lead. We are under caution lap 85 of 188. Evans, Campbell, Hunt, Hodgson, and Klein, your top 5. We did have several cars under repair. Nolan Milnes remains on the pit lane. Everybody else got out of the pits. And so Sharp lost a lap there. David Dunwoody remains a lap down. Nolan Milnes is a lap down, still on pit lane. This is going to be a huge benefit, though, for those guys in that there is another caution immediately coming.
Yes, it'll be very quick.
So,
And all these drivers that are up front will be able to come in and get fresh tires. Eric Corder has now pulled his car into the garage area. Sean Merriman has pulled his car into the garage area, and now we've seen a couple of more drivers that have called it a night.
Green, green, green.
But there are still quite a few drivers that are still out on the race course. So we're waiting to see how this unfolds before we get into the end of the second stage.
Indeed, we are. Greg Evans streaks away to the lead. He's only going to maintain that lead for another 5 laps. The field has been significantly thinned. Corder, Merriman, Heath, Wasserman out of the race. O'Donoghue, Ted Craven, Donald Green all on the pit lane. Meanwhile, there's another race
Mr. Excitement makes his big move, coming under Lee Campbell for 3rd place down the front stretch. I think he's one of those cars that took fresh tires. I know Dylan Godinez is one of those cars.
Yes, Justin Osterman does have tires, as does Dylan Godinez, Joseph Klein, and Keith Graham. Lee Campbell has fallen backwards. Hund and Evans, though, they've made the break. And there's not such a huge speed differential. Dylan Godinez all the way to the bottom. Osterman throws the block, and there they go.
I saw that coming all the way down the back stretch.
He saved it, though. He saved it.
He did.
Well, they're not done yet. They're 4 wide, and here they're going to go.
Contact again, 4 wide. And again, he saves it. But now Lee Campbell is the worst recipient of all this.
Yes, he is. We stay green. Justin Osterman has to be fuming. He went from 3rd to 13th. In the span of half a lap, he'll dive underneath Corey Crandall, make that 12th. He didn't waste any time. Got right back to the gas now.
Troy Carricker's going to, again,
that's
so close.
That is a wild move there, Sam, to throw that.
Well, I saw it coming because Dylan Godinez got a big run coming off of 2, and he was looking inside of Justin Osterman, and Osterman was trying to discourage that pass into 3, and Dylan Godinez was already committed to it.
I like that word, Sam. He was trying to discourage. He was trying to discourage. Donald Green checking in. He had an internet issue and then compounded that with an accident not of his own doing, and so he's moved to Braden Langley's pit box to cheer on his.
Oh, and they're 3 wide coming off of 4. Keith Graham on the outside of Edwin James. Oh, that was so close there as they're fighting for positions all over the racetrack as we get to the close of the second stage.
Yes, they are now.
And now they make contact. Joseph Klein and John. Oh, is that John Hudgens?
It is indeed,
It
and they're not
is.
done. They're still 3 wide, Sam.
And there goes Braden Langley sticking it in there.
Braden Langley was going to come out the beneficiary of all that. He went from 11th to
And
7th.
we've not mentioned Vance Fisher, but now Vance Fisher is looking on the inside of Joseph Klein here down the front stretch as the caution comes out. I guess these guys decided that it was time to put on a show.
I guess they did. That's going to allow Brian Sharp to get the lucky dog. He'll get back on the lead lap. David Dunwoody was unable to pass Sharp, and so Dunwoody will be the only car 1 lap down when racing resumes, and there's still heavy damage on the number 28, the Black Magic Studios boss man, as we call him, Dylan Godinez. In all of that, Dylan Godinez got by Greg Evans to win the stage. And so Godinez is going to win the stage. Evans 2nd, Hun 3rd, Siegfried, Hodgson, Hutchins, Langley, Klein, Fisher, and James. They're going to round out your top 10.
Well, we have seen quite a contrast between the first stage and the second stage. Oh, okay. Thank you. All right, man. Thanks. I'm here.
Thank you so much, race fans, for sticking around. We have got a barn burner going. 94 of 188. Sam, we are exactly halfway. We are exactly halfway in this race, and we've got a banger. We've got a banger going. 94 of 188. John Hutchins is your leader. Vance Fisher, Troy Carricker, and Jason Heaney all did not stop under that stage caution. So the front four did not stop. Dylan Godnez on back, they've all got fresh boots. David Dunwoody, Justin Osterman, Nolan Milnes have been on pit lane for lengthy repair, as has Lee Campbell. So all of those cars have gotten some damage fixed. Trevor Benz, Edwin James, Michael Moquin, they all stayed in for 30 seconds or more of repair. So keep your eye on those cars. They were all fast and up front to start this thing. But John Hutchins is your new leader. And how about that? We have not talked much about Hutchins all season, and here he is. He's leading this baby.
Either one of these front row drivers tonight. We've not talked about he or Vance Fisher very much, but here they are leading the field to the green flag for the final stage.
Green flag.
Yes, they are indeed.
Oh, and Vance Fisher does not get a good start. That checks up the outside line.
Yes, it does. It's going to allow John Hutchins to get a massive runaway from Troy Carricker. Vance is going to slide. Vance Fisher, he'll slide back into third, but he's got Dylan Godnez in hot pursuit on fresh tires. Lee Campbell is going to drive it off the pit lane, and he's just going to stay down to the bottom. That's the car on the apron.
There, yeah.
Here comes Dylan Godnez. He's going to try to. He needs to make quick work of Fisher, Carricker, and Hutchins, and here he comes, because he's got a hungry Joshua Siegfried, James Hodgson, and Greg Evans in pursuit of him.
We have seen such a contrast between the two stages. The first stage, everyone was just minding their business, getting in line, making passes.
Whoa, Vance Fisher
and
loses!
Vance Fisher loses it, but he's able to save it on the backstretch.
And here comes the deuce.
Great job.
Well, he's not done yet.
Great job by Vance Fisher.
He's not done yet. He's still on the bottom, still in the grass. Greg Evans had taken it 3 wide to get around James Hodgson and Joseph Klein, move Evans to 6th. But Vance Fisher, watch this wild ride, fans. Here's Vance. He's on the top. He's up in the light gray stuff. There is not traction up there. So here goes Vance Fisher. And he's going to get loose coming off of turn 2. And watch this. He's going to shoot down to the inside, Sam. He's going to wreck this race car for 2/3 of a lap. Watch this.
Oh, and Greg Evans goes down to the apron on the front stretch.
Meanwhile, Sam has clued us in that there's actual racing in the live to be watched. Greg Evans to the bottom of Dylan Godnez, and this would be effectively second on the strategy of the cars that have new tires. Here's Evans. He's working on the bottom of Godnez, and if we know anything about Dylan Godnez, he is not going to give up that spot at all. Here's Godnez. He's to the bottom, or to the top side of Greg Evans, but Evans on the inside looks as though he's going to eventually prevail
It's not the
here.
preferred line here as Dylan Godnez.
Whoa,
really
what a
has to
run
get
for
off the
Evans!
throttle.
Evans, huge run to the bottom. He had to check up to avoid getting into Troy Carricker there.
Jason Heaney wants to grab a hold of the trailer hitch here. He wants to see what he's got for Greg Evans. I think that he's going to try and hold on to the deuce right here and see if he can compete with him.
Yeah, he's definitely going to
Jason
try.
Heaney's proved that he's got speed tonight.
Well, the thing is though, he's on the wrong tires. So he's on 9. He's got 9 extra laps on
9 lap older tires. I see.
He's got 9 lap older tires. Now a lot of those were under caution, but he's definitely at a disadvantage. They have been heat cycled. Evans is now through. So Hutchins leads it. He's on 24 lap tires from Joshua Siegfried, and we're fixing to have a battle for the lead. The deuce, Greg Evans, he's in hot pursuit in third. You've got Jason Heaney. He's on an alternate strategy, 16 laps on his tires. Dylan Godnez is going to round out your top 5, and there's the lead. Joshua Siegfried, he'll dive to the bottom, and John Hutchins just doesn't have much that he can fight with there.
I think that John Hutchins has done a great job, all things considered, to be able to jump out there and maintain where he's at. We'll see how he fares over the long haul of this last stage. These drivers are probably going to try and, if it were to go green, a lot of these drivers are probably going to try. You could get about 60 to 65 laps on a run. I would probably dare to say again that these drivers are going to split this stage up in half. So you're going to probably see drivers pitting somewhere around lap 45, 50, just so that they'll have enough fuel and enough tire to finish the race. But it'd be interesting to see, because these drivers that stayed out at this particular juncture, like Hutchins and Heaney and others, if they did not take fuel on the last pit stop, I question whether they'll be able to make it. It'll be close.
Tell you what, it's halfway, and you know what that means, Sam. We get to start counting backwards. 86 to go. We're looking at pit stops beginning somewhere in the range of 50 to go, would be the guess.
Yes, sir.
Somewhere in the range of 50 to go. You may see Evans, Siegfried, guys that stopped under that caution, go a little bit longer. What we haven't seen is a ton of fall off. Joshua Siegfried, he's got 11 laps in. He's running around 30.857. Greg Evans also in that 32nd bracket. Dylan Godnez. Now, John Hutchins is about 0.3 a lap slower on those older tires. So there's not a huge amount of fall off, but there is fall off. We do want to thank everybody that is watching here on the P1 Broadcasting Channel. This is AMA American Motorsport Association Blackmagic Studios Grand National Series action live from the virtual Nashville Superspeedway. Big crowd on hand to watch these drivers. It has been a tremendous race so far. Joshua Siegfried leads it. First half regular season champ Greg Evans is second. Dylan Godnez rounds out the podium, and Godnez has gotten through John Hutchins as well. Jason Heaney can't quite make that move, but he's trying.
Now we're seeing a battle from fifth place, well, just behind John Hutchins, as you were alluding to. Jason Heaney's trying to make this pass, but behind him is a battle with Joseph Klein.
Yes, it is.
James Hodgson here, and so Joseph Klein has been trying to make this pass for the last couple of laps.
Yes, he is.
See how close you have to really get to that car on the bottom in order to get a run off.
You do, and it's very. This is one of the probably more difficult tracks I think that we come to set up a pass, Sam. You mentioned it's wider than it's Dover 2.0. It is wider than Dover, but it's still not wide on exit in terms of where you want to run the car. I'd imagine that it's a little bit wider for these cars than the open wheel stuff, but it can still get pretty narrow over there, can't it?
Oh, there's no question how narrow it can be. It's certainly enough to get your attention because you think that there's all this racetrack that you can play with on the outside, but it's so green out there you can't get a run off, and that turn 4 wall and turn 2 wall just closes in on you so fast. You lose so much momentum to try and turn the middle if you get too high, and you get in that gray area, and it just wants to throw the car out there. So you really have to pinch the car on the bottom or start a high entry and low exit. And even as we see John Hutchins go right to the wall, he proves my point there. But it really makes it difficult, as you said, to make these passes.
You know,
I do want to give a shout out real quick, Mark. Just the insane amount of people that we have watching the broadcast tonight. We really thank you all for tuning in. It's amazing to see how many people have turned out to see this AMA race.
It is indeed, and if you haven't already, make sure you smash the like button on the video, ring the bell to subscribe so you can tune this in. We're back tomorrow night with the pick 'em up trucks, and so Sam and I will be in the booth for that one. We're watching Troy Carricker as he works around the wounded machine of David Dunwoody. Dunwoody is now 6 laps in arrears, and so he has suffered additional damage to the 28. So a tough night for David Dunwoody. We are looking at Joseph Klein here too. He's going to take that fight right to the back of Jason Heaney. Heaney was the winner of the second stage. Or excuse me, Dylan Godinez was the winner of the second stage, but Jason Heaney dominated most of that second stage. Was dominant in
until the late cautions. Yeah,
until the cautions.
He had opened up the biggest lead that we'd seen all night to over 2.5 seconds.
Yes, he had it. Yes, he had. And here comes Joseph Klein. He's going to dive to the bottom of Jason Heaney. We've got 78 laps to go. We anticipate pit stops here roughly within the next,
maybe 35, 40 laps?
30, 35 laps. So keep an eye on that.
It just depends. You're going to find drivers that are going to push the envelope, and they're going to short pit this thing so that they can try and make up some time on the racetrack with fresh tires. I think that you're going to find somebody's going to bite early. I really do. As we see Rick Fallis move into the 9th position as he gets past John Hutchins.
Yeah, and it's one of those too. It's one of those things too. John Hutchins falling back. He's paying the price for being out. His tires nearly twice the distance as the front runners, 37 laps as opposed to 20. And John Hutchins is going to have to start thinking about coming to pit road. He can probably only go another, what, 20?
He has to make it to lap one, at least lap one. Well, 128 to 130. He has to.
Yeah.
Just so that he'll have enough fuel to finish the last run.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to be in any danger of making it there. That's another 14 laps. That would be 52 on the fuel run. So I think he's good on that score.
Yeah, I think he'll be fine. Yeah, but it would benefit him to get in as soon as he can get within his window.
Yes, he does. But he'll definitely be the early adopter. We would expect John Hutchins to kick off the pit stops here in about, anywhere from 14 to 18 laps. So look for
somewhere in that window easily. Yeah.
Look for him to be the early adopter. But there he is. He's fallen backwards in a hurry. He's about 0.3 of a second off the pace. Meanwhile,
we see the Deuce. If you want to cue the Jaws music, the Deuce is 0.3 faster that last lap than Joshua Siegfried.
Here he is. There's what he's seeing. And does Greg talk to him?
A little bit closer that time.
Bertie, I just wanted to say it is a shame to see great cars taken out like that. And I understand Kyle Heath, is frustrated. It's a tough end to a night. But I think he's going to probably think a little bit different when he goes back and watches the replay. Does when Greg Evans is doing this, does the "Here Kitty Kitty Kitty" music play in the helmet of the Deuce, or is it no? Because we're going to see a pass for the lead here in the next couple of laps. He's 2/10 quicker that last time through.
Yeah, it was just really a lot of misfortune earlier in the race with Kyle Heath and that whole pack of cars ahead of him and Greg that had checked up so much, and Greg got ran down the racetrack, and he's trying to control and catch the car, and he watches back up the racetrack and catches Kyle Heath, and Kyle just happened to be the bad recipient of all of that.
Yes, indeed. Here's Greg Evans.
And again, it's an awful feeling to know that you have a fast hot rod, and then you're relegated to have to leave early for an incident that was really none of your making.
Kendall Paul is swinging his car down onto the access road, so Kendall Paul is bringing his machine to the pit lane. Meanwhile, Braden Langley
And
has
now we have a new leader.
Yeah, we do. Braden Langley has suffered a connection issue. Greg Evans drives the deuce into the lead. We're going to check back on some other battles because this whole situation, the midfield is kind of thinned out, but it hasn't made the action back here any different. Troy Carricker has gone to 6th over James Hodgson in 7th, the forward-facing 88. He's quietly moved himself into the top 10. Jason Heaney runs along in 5th. You see him. Joseph Klein is 4th. Carricker is Heaney is 5th. Carricker 6th. Hodgson 7th. And then Rick D. Here he is.
He's making a pass on Michael Moquin. Michael Moquin has let him know that he's racing with a little bit of damage on the front of the car here, and so he's made room for Rick Fallis to make this move to move into the 8th position.
You know, and we haven't called Rick Fallis' name all night in the Marty Robbins special. He just drove underneath our good man Michael Moquin, passed him like he was tied to a post. Move Rick Fallis to 8th spot. So good to see.
And again, if you're watching the broadcast tonight, you may see that Marty Robbins car in the 03, but he's actually being scored as the 10 on the scoring pylon tonight.
Yes, indeed. So there goes. There is Rick Fallis. He is 1.8 seconds behind James Hodgson in 7th. In that battle between Carricker, Heaney, Hodgson, and that group, Klein. That has begun to brew one more time. Jason Heaney has caught Joseph Klein. David Dunwoody stays to the outside in the lap 28. But Jason Heaney has caught Joseph Klein and is actually running about a 10th faster, Sam. I think we're going to see a battle for position here before too much longer as well.
Well, we did find earlier in the race, and Joseph Klein is nursing some damage to the left rear of this car, but we did find at the first run of the race where there was a lot of green flag racing that Joseph Klein steadily over the long run began to fade a little bit as the run went, whereas Jason Heaney was able to keep a consistency about his lap times because these tires will equalize out a little bit depending on how you run it. And so we're seeing that Jason Heaney is still managing his tires really well as he makes the pass on Joseph Klein to move into the 4th position. And Troy Carricker just really continually through the night has just moved his way up through the field. He's just been running a different kind of race than we've seen Troy Carricker run. This track seems to be fitting his driving style a little bit more, and so now he'll be next on the hit parade for Joseph Klein as we see them fighting for these positions for the top 5.
We do indeed. There's Troy Carricker, and he's got Troy Carricker. Excuse me, I called him Troy Character. I did not. Maybe he is a character. Maybe Shelby can tell us, but he's been worth the price of admission, and he's driven it up to 6th. Troy Carricker started this race in 12th spot, so he's made up 6 from his start. He's been as high as 2nd on pit cycles. So Troy Carricker is no stranger to the front here at Nashville. He's having a pretty doggone good night in that 94. Do want to kind of circle back and talk about Brian Sharp a minute. He found the trees earlier, got himself a lap down, got that lap made back up. Brian Sharp runs along in 12th, in 11th. You've got Mr. Excitement, Justin Osterman there. He is in 12th. So I got my positions mixed between Sharp and Osterman. But there's Justin. It wasn't too long ago that he was fighting for the lead, and so there's speed in that number 53. Another quiet what is it? What do they say, Sam? A yeoman's-like effort for the 09 Keith Graham. Very quietly. I don't think we've called his name all night either, but he is very quietly sniffing the edge of that top 10. So great run for Keith Graham. You've got Corey Crandall. He's in the 35. He's been anywhere between 5th and about 15th, although he runs by himself in 14th now. Edwin James, another driver that's had a pretty quiet night. There he is in the 46. Edwin James runs in 15th, followed in close attendance by Vance Fisher. He is in 16th. Lee Campbell is the only car one lap down. He's been in the fence in the 44 Goodyear machine. Nolan Milnes is in 18th. He's 2 laps in arrears. Kendall Paul spent 2.5 minutes in his box under repair in the 78. He is 19th, and David Dunwoody, the final runner on the Speedway, is 20th. Well, I take that back, Sam. I shouldn't, and he's 7 laps down. Mark Owlett is still circulating. There's Mark. He's in the 80. He was involved in an accident early, 13 laps off the pace, but still out there. He just made up a spot on Trevor Benz.
Points.
Yeah. He just made up a spot on Trevor Benz. He's going to make up another one on Braden Langley here very shortly. So it goes to show you, you're in a points championship. Keep on trucking. Keep on making laps. You can make up spots. And those things do accumulate. And Sam, well, at the end of the year, the points are where they pay the money, right? So good for Mark Owlett.
That's exactly right. Good
for Mark Owlett sticking with it. Greg Evans is still your leader, and he has pulled away from the Godinez, from the Dylan Godinez machine.
Yeah, now we're getting within the window of where we may very well start seeing some pit stops. However, as spread out as the field is getting here, you may see them run this out completely to when they need to stop and not short pit. But I always see that there's a taker that wants to jump in there and get those tires as fast as they can.
Yeah, and
now these back markers like Vance Fisher and Corey and these others that are running just around the leaders now, if they've just gotten past and they, if they haven't pit, then now's a good time to do that.
It is indeed. My rule of thumb in a long green flag run is get lapped on old tires, come hit pit road, get new tires.
Yes, sir.
The window is open.
Just as we say that, Edwin James calls out his pit stop right now. So he just got passed by the leaders just a couple of laps ago, and now he's going to be coming down pit lane.
There he is. There's a little bit of rumples in the front of that Chevrolet as he pulls the 46 down onto the pit road. So Edwin James is going to be the guinea pig. We would also expect this man, John Hutchins. He is 55 laps into his current run. John Hutchins is going to need to hit pit road for fuel here before too much longer. He just took lap 56. We think we think you start becoming critical on fuel at about lap 60. Now there were some cautions.
Yeah, you're exactly right.
Now there were some cautions in there, so it's not as though John Hutchins has been at 60 laps under, or 56 laps under full green push. But do note that he would be the first car due on fuel, and he is reaching that window. Kendall Paul, you see to the inside, he is 6 laps down. He does have 10-lap old tires, though, and he is running a full second quicker than the leader.
John Hutchins has done a great job. He was actually our leader at the beginning of the stage. He jumped out to a really quick lead and was able to maintain a little bit of space there. And of all the positions that he's lost on older tires and a little lower fuel load, he's actually done a great job to stay in 10th position here.
Yes, he is. And he's got Brian Sharp coming. Brian Sharp is, 0.3 a lap quicker. Justin Osterman's also quicker behind Sharp. But if he can, if John Hutchins can, lead some laps and he's going to cycle through, he's going to be the shortstop, so he's going to be the rabbit. Maybe he feels like if it cycles through and he has the benefit of the fresh tires, he can cycle forward. If he gets a caution flag later, he's going to get some track position. So good for John Hutchins. We are working 54 to go here at the virtual Nashville Superspeedway. Greg Evans, he's pulled out to a 1.4 second lead over Dylan Godinez. Mike Rigney says he's been in a Discord with Greg Evans during races. Nothing, no noise, just silence and speed. Is that accurate, Sam?
Well, that's actually something that land speed record holders have said, is that at speed there is no noise.
And I kind of replied to Mike. I said, as opposed to me, I'm usually talking about as fast as I'm driving.
You're usually lapping yourself, that's for sure.
Well, David Dunwoody chimes in the chat. He's only got 15 minutes of damage left, so you might want to get that fixed. Hard hit.
Only 15?
Only 15 minutes, yeah. Hard hit for David Dunwoody earlier. We're watching Greg Evans. We do have a battle for position. Troy Carricker and Joseph Klein have been at it for that 6th and 7th spot for quite a while.
They have. They've actually been battling it out here for a number of laps, and they are intense on this particular position.
So Dunwoody has advised that there's still no water in the radiator of the 28 machine as it sits on pit road. I inquired as to whether there was a radiator to put the water into. So we'll see what he says. Meanwhile, Troy Carricker, he's going to dive to the bottom of Joseph Klein one more time. And Carricker, he's going to make it stick.
Just a mini slide job here. Moves up just enough to get into the front of Joseph Klein. Now the 09 of Keith Graham is calling out his pit stop.
Yeah.
This is a little later in the run than I expected for drivers to be pitting.
Yeah, it really is. And the thing with it is, with it so spread out.
Keith Graham using the access road here for pit entry.
You do. Now, that's not required. You don't have
It is not. That's why I was mentioning it.
Yeah, you don't have to do that. But some drivers will still use it, especially if they don't feel comfortable exiting. For open wheel stuff, it's required. But for the stock cars, you don't have to use it. You can pit off a turn 4. Here's the deal with that, Sam. You got to be comfortable. And Nashville trying to pit off a turn number 4 is very, very difficult at best.
It is. It is. You really have to pay close attention to the transition from the racing surface down to the apron. It can get very precarious down there, and the runoff. The runoff, though it is adequate enough, sometimes you just misjudge it.
Indeed. I'm looking at Jason Heaney. He was closing in. He was closing in on the 3rd place machine of Joshua Siegfried. But Siegfried just peeled off and made his way toward his pit box. John Hutchins
just finally announces his pit.
Now watch, here's what we're talking about. John Hutchins is going to be coming to pit road, so we're going to jump up on the roll bar and see how he executes this. He's going to pit off at turn number 4, but watch this transition. This is what Sam's talking about.
Right there, the car gets very unsettled, and then the runoff here can be very, very difficult to judge sometimes.
Well, not only
you can either slow down too soon, or get into the binders and lose control of the car, or you can miscalculate it and just try to push it to the last second and then speed on the entry there. So it's a little difficult sometimes to make that judgment.
Yes, it can be. We're watching Greg Evans. He is still circulating. Over 2 seconds in the lead over Dylan Godnez. Jason Heaney has made his way to 3rd, but he's 5 seconds back to the leader. James Hodgson, give a call down to him. He's now running in the top 5. And so there's James. He is 4th. And Troy Carricker, he's moved his way into 5th. And Troy is catching James Hodgson for 4th. Jason Heaney peels it off in the pit lane.
I'm really surprised John Hutchins stayed out as long as he did, but there's a lot of drivers that feel strongly that they want to get the most out of this last set of tires that they can if it stays under green conditions. Michael Moquin is now coming off of pit road as James Hodgson calls out his pit stop.
Yes, indeed. Do want to thank Shelby Carricker one more time.
Boy, Carricker really closes in on him fast there.
Yeah, and he had a car. He had James Hutchins pitching pitting in front of him, and I think it kind of surprised him. But here's Troy. He's still out there, 61 laps on his current run. Troy Carricker's moved it into third. Do want to thank Shelby again for the generosity there. We are working lap.
Now the 10 of Rick Fallis is calling his pit.
Yep. We're going to stick with Troy as he circulates in third. 43 laps to go. And this is
can he save it? Oh, Fallis almost loses it on entry.
All right, so here's what Sam was talking about. This is where it gets difficult. It's not just that it's a transition. It's not just that it's sharp, but you've also got two different kinds of pavement. Right? Pit road and the apron here are asphalt, whereas the racetrack is concrete. And Rick D, my goodness gracious, he has a moment. Justin Osterman has been given a speeding ticket. He runs afoul he's run afoul of the authorities too fast on exit for Mr. Excitement, Justin Osterman.
That's a drive-through.
That's going to be the drive-through. He's gonna come out. Troy Carricker.
Oh no! And Rick Fallis missed his pit stall. He sat in his pit stall, probably not aware that he had missed his pit stall. I bet there was 10. I'd like to know how long his pit stop was.
Yes,
he sat on the pit lane a long time. Then he had to back up and get back into the stall. He was probably too far right. Boy, what a tough break. He was making a great job of working up through the field.
Yes, he was.
How long was the pit stop? Do you know?
I do. So he was 60 seconds on pit lane. So he lost
45 seconds in the pit lane.
Well, so he lost about 19 seconds on that racket, which is about that's probably 2/3 of a lap. Greg Evans is still circulating, still leading. He has not yet stopped. As a reminder, Justin Osterman does have the black flag, and so he will be bringing his car back down for a drive-through momentarily. Do want to thank...
Man, a lot of stuff is really playing out here for some of these drivers. It's really working to some of them's advantage, and then others, like as we see Rick Fallis and Justin Osterman, who are falling victim to poor pit stops or misjudgments there. I think Osterman's penalty is actually just a drive-through if he wants to serve it.
It is indeed. He's on pit lane now. The question for Greg Evans, Dylan Godinez, and Brian Sharp, Brian Sharp
just announced his pit stop.
Okay, so he's coming in. The issue for these guys is Joshua Siegfried last time through 30.679, Greg Evans 31.851. So they're losing over a second a lap. David Dunwoody reports that the radiator list 28 has expired, and so he's brought that machine to the pit lane. He'll be credited with 21st this evening. So that's another spot for Mark Owlett.
I guess the dry radiator proved not to be beneficial in the long run.
Speaking of luminaries in the iRacing community, our favorite nerd, Matty Wagner, has joined us, and he says that he's purchasing an ever bigger cooler for all the refreshments that I owe him. So that's probably accurate, but he's also correct in that when we run on the LC Motorsports crew on Sunday nights, that he just blames any misfortune on me. So good to see Matty Wags in here. Big crowd on hand for the AMA.
Oh, it's a huge crowd. We're
Nashville.
so glad to have everyone. And you tuned into a great race here. This last run has turned out to be a long run, and the green flag stops have just finished. So now we're hoping that we can finish the race under green, but there's always the chance of a caution or something that could happen. And so just tune
yes,
in,
indeed.
because the race is
here we
not
go.
over. As Greg Evans finally takes his pit stop.
Okay, so he's going to bring it to pit lane, and so is Dylan Godinez. Godinez is going to follow him. This is going to be the stop, and this is the one that I want to see, because where they come out in relationship to Joshua Siegfried, Jason Heaney, and Corey Crandall is going to be the race. We're going to have 36 laps to go. Justin Osterman back on pit road. He is still under the black flag. He's fallen to 18th position. Greg Evans down and away. And
now, after a while, they'll just stop scoring him if he continues to ignore the black flag.
Well, he has reached that point, but he's been on pit lane several times. I don't know if when he comes in, he's speeding on pit road again.
He's in his stall now. Yeah, he's in his stall now.
Yes, he is. So there's Evans. He's off a pit lane. He is going to come out in fourth.
Between Crandall and Hodgson.
Yes. So there he goes. He's in fourth spot, but he is 8 seconds almost behind Joshua Siegfried. Now the advantage is 15 lap fresher tires. And so we'll see.
And we still have 34 laps of this event left to run, and so there's a lot of things that could play out as far as tire wear and closing speeds and how these drivers are able. Now there is the principle that the tires could they could even out, but 9 laps difference, 10 laps difference really does pay off in the long run when you're a driver like Greg Evans.
It most certainly does. Joshua Siegfried, you're watching, is your leader. He's got that advantage by a second and a half over this man, the number 9, Jason Heaney. Heaney is second. James Hodgson, he runs along in third in the forward-facing 88. He is 5.7 seconds in arrears. He is going to be immediately attended to by Greg Evans, who has the hammer down. Last time through for Greg, 33.82. Siegfried in the lead, 31.209, 39.92 for Hodgson. So Evans is coming, and he's going to be to James Hodgson here within the next couple of laps. Dylan Godnez.
This is going to be interesting because I really appreciate so much that we have the scoring pylon on the broadcast, because the viewers can really watch and see how the closing speeds are going to change over the course of the next 10 laps. You're going to be able to watch drivers like Evans and Godnez, and they're really going to clip a lot of time off of these leaders that are in front of them. You can watch that time. You can watch the intervals drop each and every lap. So just pay attention, folks, because this race is not over.
No, it's not. And there you go. Greg Evans. He'll make the dive on the forward-facing 88 of James Hodgson. And look, that's one corner. The huge advantage that he put up on Hodgson. So Evans, he's going to go to third. Hodgson back to fourth. Evans going to dive to the inside of the lap car of Keith Graham. As I was saying, Dylan Godnez is fifth, and he's on that same strategy as Evans. So he's going to continue to come forward. Joseph Klein is in sixth and is P6 in the number 7. The number 94 of Troy Carricker, he is run along in seventh. And this might be one of the best top-to-bottom runs that Troy Carricker has had in the AMA. He's been around that top 10 all night. He's caught a couple of breaks. He's missed the wrecks. There we go. Troy Carricker
has raced a great race.
Yeah, he has raced a great race. John Hutchins, that whole business of staying out and then being the first in, well, that's kind of worked out for John. He's running along in eighth. Now, he is significantly slower than the cars around him, but he's also on the second oldest tires. Joshua Siegfried is on the oldest. Brian Sharp, he's ninth, and there's Sharp. He didn't avoid
that would explain why Jason Heaney's able to close. Why Jason Heaney has been able to run consistently faster lap times than Joshua Siegfried, and Heaney has been fast all night long. So he's closing in on Siegfried very quickly here as he goes into turn 1, and now he's within passing distance as he gets closer and closer with each passing corner here, and he could very well, by the time they get to the start finish line, Jason Heaney could be our new leader.
He is indeed. He's cut it down to 0.2 of a second. The tires are 3 laps is the difference. 20 for Siegfried, 17 for Heaney, 7 for Greg Evans, and Dylan Godnez. So that's the tire situation at the front. This is the battle for the lead. That is the top 7 or top 8 as I brought them to you. Brian Sharp is 9th. Rick Fallas, after his long sojourn down pit road.
Heartbreaking pit stop by Rick Fallas, and he's still running in the top 10. He's still running in the top 10. That's got to be encouraging for him.
Yes, he is. Watch him from the roll bar at Jason Heaney. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when now. Here comes Heaney.
Yep, here he goes. He's moving on the inside as they come across the start-finish line. He's on the inside of Siegfried as they go into 1.
from the
This is a
drone.
battle for the lead.
From the drone, thank you to Whiplash SimCams, Jason Heaney. He drops it to the inside. He'll go past.
Great pass by Jason Heaney right
Well,
there.
it's
Great
not
pass.
done quite. He's clear. Okay. He just barely cleared Siegfried going down the back. Siegfried is not done, though. He's trying to fight back.
Because they see this deuce growing bigger and bigger in the rearview mirror.
Forget bigger and bigger. It's there. Greg Evans swings
Jason
it.
Heaney cannot enjoy the lead for a lap without looking in the rearview and seeing the deuce come flying up on the outside of turn 2.
Yeah, there he is. And Greg Evans makes short work of Joshua Siegfried, turns it left underneath Jason Heaney. He goes, and this isn't going to last much longer. Heaney with the older tires pulls to the outside. Greg Evans powers past into the lead, and the deuce back to the front here at Nashville.
Oh, and Siegfried gets a handful of wheel coming off of turn 4 right there.
Indeed, I think
Jason Heaney throws his hand out the window and waves at Greg Evans as he goes by.
Yes, he does. And now the question is going to be, is Dylan Godnez going to have enough good left in the good years to get by Heaney and Siegfried as well? Because he's on that same strategy as Greg Evans and running just about the same lap times. Meanwhile, we have a debate between Ryan O'Donohue, Mike Rigney, and Matty Wagner in the chat as to the cause of the explosion in the number 14. They've decided that it's some sort of TNT dynamite. Maybe it was Wile E. Coyote or Marvin the Martian, but they're going to get that figured out here before the end of the day. Dylan Godnez drives it to the bottom, and he'll take over third. And I got to believe with his car being just about half a second a lap quicker, it won't be long before he's past Jason Heaney in the second.
Now that we found the deuce has pulled back out to the lead, and now Dylan Godnez being on the same strategy, he's actually been able to keep a little bit of pace with the two-car of Greg Evans. But that leaves us with some other drivers that are going to try and play out these positions for the top 10. Brian Sharp is 2 seconds ahead of our 10th place car, Rick Fallis, but we can see that Brian Sharp is, despite the earlier contact that he had, has been able to preserve the car enough that he has this top 10 working. So we're going to see if they're able to race their way back up to John Hutchins. They're still quite a ways from catching the seventh place car of Troy Carricker, but still, nonetheless, they're going to have their own race going on. Carricker's got, again, we find Carricker and Klein next to each other, which they've been racing each other most of the night. And
Troy Carricker in the wall just a little bit.
Down the backstretch.
Did want to point out, you were talking about the Sharp, Hutchins Sharp Fallis situation. John Hutchins is on significantly older tires. Brian Sharp is quicker than Hutchins. Fallis is quicker than Sharp, and so that's going to get interesting here pretty quickly. The issue for Sharp and Fallis is they're about 7-8 seconds behind John Hutchins. Troy Carricker, though, he has swung that car to the high side.
These two drivers have been putting on a show for the last half of this race. They really have.
They've been magnetized. They are definitely attracted. Here's Carricker one more time. He gets such a great run off the high side, and that's not been his MO. For most of the night, he has been sailing it deep into the corners.
Oh, he sure has. This time he decides to go with a high entry and a low exit, and he's going to stay right on the bumper. Joseph Klein.
Yes, he will. Now here he comes.
This is a fight for a top 5. This is a bragging right type race right here. If you can get a top 5 in this particular race, then it's really something to hang your hat on in this crowd.
Well, close enough. 6th would be Joseph Klein, 7th Carricker. Carricker wants 6th. He tried that move where he sailed it in deep on the bottom. He's going to do it one more time. Here comes the slide job. There it is. Troy Carricker goes to 6th. How about that? So he's back up his 6 positions on the day, and this is the closest battle on the speedway. Dylan Godnez has gotten past Jason Heaney. The problem for Godnez is that Greg Evans is about 1/10 of a lap quicker than he is. Heaney and Siegfried are fading quickly, and if they're not careful, they're going to fade right into the clutches of this man, James Hodgson. And there's Hodgson, and he sees Siegfried. That's the car right in front off the roof cam. And that's got to be a here kitty, 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 kitty moment going on inside that 88. He would love to get up there and maybe snare himself a podium.
James Hodgson has run a relatively quiet race. That black car has been almost in stealth mode. We've not called out much on him tonight, but he's steadily been in the top 10 throughout the race. He's had great speed, and he's shown that he has the prowess to run with these leaders. So I'm not surprised to see James Hodgson. Actually, he finished in the top 3 of our truck race last week, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, indeed, James Hodgson. He's a very laconic racer. On the radio, he's fun to be around. He's one of my endurance teammates. He and I and Kendall Paul run the prototype for Black Magic Studios in the endurance races, and so it's fun to be around James. I just wonder if he's referred to any of his fellow competitors as a Muppet this evening, and so that would be my question. Do want to thank everybody in the audience tonight. We have a massive crowd here for the AMA Black Magic Studios Grand National Series. We are so close to the 100
mark right now.
We are. If you know 2 more people, get them to tune in. We have never had 100 concurrent viewers here at P1. So that would be
a shameless petition there.
Shameless. Rigney, go round up 4 more people.
Turn on your other computer. Oh, we just hit 100 as you said that. We just hit 100.
Hey! Boom. Do want to thank
100 people have tuned in to a great race tonight. The AMA drivers here, we've been green flagged for this whole last stage, and they've really turned it on. James Hodgson is actually closing in now on Joshua Siegfried for the 4th position. That's one of the closest battles that we have on the racetrack. Rick Fallis, Brian Sharp are both getting close to falling into the clutches of our leader, Greg Evans, but they're battling very hard to stay on that lead lap as they run down John Hutchins as he is steadily falling back to them.
Yeah, and those guys want to stay. Those guys want to stay on the lead lap. We're sticking with the battle for 4th. This is James Hodgson and Joshua Siegfried. Siegfried on the significantly older tires is fading fast, as is Jason Heaney. I don't know that Hodgson's got enough time to get to Heaney, but he has definitely caught Joshua Siegfried. Do want to thank all of our sponsors here in the AMA. Quickly before we get to the end of this race: Archway Industrial Coatings, Admin Box, Black Magic Studios, Track Racer, and Rogue Energy Drink. Thank you to all of our sponsors for all that they do for the American Motorsport Association, both the Black Magic Studios Grand National Series and the Archway Industrial Coatings Truck Series. That'll happen tomorrow night. But we've got a dandy brewing tonight, and it might be all over but the shouting for the lead, but this is about as fine a battle as you're going to see for position.
There's a lot of positions that are not fully decided yet. With 10 laps to go, there's still some positions that are still being raced for. Wow, Joshua Siegfried, he really dove that car into one that time.
Yes, he did.
He knows Hodgson's back there. He knows that he's closed this gap over the last 5 laps, and he knows that he wants to hold this position. So he's really starting to push the car a little bit harder on entry.
So just to update you, we've got Donald Green now discussing endurance racing tips with the ISRA fellas, and he's asked them what their strategy is, and Ryan O'Donohue just said depends. And
and now we see James Hodgson. He sticks it in the inside of Joshua Siegfried. Now they're door to door coming off.
Oh, they're not just door to door. They're rubbing door handles. And not only that, Michael Moquin gets
so close. James Hodgson says he really wants this position before the end of the race.
He does, and they've got Michael. Here's the other thing: they got Michael Moquin in front of him. Moquin is up there banging the wall.
Hodgson has the preferred position, but Siegfried's not giving it up easily.
No, he's not. Here they are, door handle to door handle. The 88 on the bottom, that's James Hodgson. You've got Joshua Siegfried on the top. Hodgson has been...
Hodgson is dry. He's doing... Oh, he's got a handful of wheel here, and they're getting loose ahead of him.
And here comes
It's
Moquin.
Fisher.
Wow.
Moquin moves out of the way in these closing laps. Siegfried's still there on the right rear.
That is full send from the 99 on the top, but I think the tires are gone on that car.
It's just hard to battle out there on that outside.
Ooh.
What a great race there for the 4th position as James Hodgson secures it, and now he just has to hold off Siegfried.
Now
And that leaves us now with Brian Sharp and Rick Fallis, probably the closest fight that we see on the racetrack.
It is, and if you look out the back of Rick, that's the leader. That's Greg Evans right behind them. So these two are about to have at it for a position, and they're right in front of the leader. If you're Greg Evans, you can't really slow down. If you're Greg Evans,
because Dylan Godinez actually has the same tire strategy that's working for him, and even though he's 2 seconds behind, you don't want to give up too much of that cushion. So Greg could be wanting to let these drivers work out their position in front of him, and then if he sees Dylan Godinez begin to close the gap, he may push the issue a little bit more, but he may not want to get up here while these guys are fighting it out and then take a chance in getting wrecked or getting caught up in a battle. It's definitely a position that you really have to make good decisions. Brian Sharp actually pulled away from Rick Fallis on that particular lap.
Yes, he did. Now, if you're Greg Evans, you can't really, we're watching this battle. Keep in mind, Greg can't really just slow foot this around. He's got Dylan Godinez behind him.
No, he can't.
And Godinez
is still faster. He is still faster than Dylan Godinez after that last lap. Rick Fallis closes the gap now on Brian Sharp as they come down the front stretch. Again, this is a position for the ninth spot.
There you go.
See all the fire coming out of those side pipes on the race car. Once they let off the throttle, you'll see fire coming out of those side exhausts, and then once they pick up the throttle again, you'll see that same flame pop out. And Rick Fallis drives deep into 3 this time. I think Greg Evans is just going to allow these two to battle it out in the closing laps. I think that Dylan Godinez has probably used up all the tire that he can use. Greg's probably going to serve himself better if he just lets them go. Rick Fallis is going to try a different approach this time. High entry, low exit. He gets a big run this time off of 2. He gets on the inside of Brian Sharp.
Yeah, here he comes, and I got to think Sharp is just going to back out of this. Let him have the position. Sharp would just love to finish with a top 10. But Sharp's going to fight back on the outside. Rick D.
No, he's not going to do it.
Rick
Fallis gets a good run here. He's still got a nose ahead of Brian Sharp, but the leader is still behind them.
He does, and we've got the white flag. Brian Sharp all the way to the top of the speedway. He's going to try to get that huge run down the back, and my guess is we're going to have one full send into turn number 3 for Brian Sharp.
Greg Evans here, just letting these cars race it out here. He's got a two-second cushion on Dylan Godinez. He really has nothing to prove to make these passes.
He does indeed. Greg Evans going to come off at turn number 4.
He's going to give Brian Sharp just a little bit of a draft help there, and Rick Fallis carefully and securely makes this pass. Now, Greg Evans takes the flag, and he takes the win here at Nashville, but you have your 9th and 10th place cars that still have to finish their laps.
Yeah,
what a great job.
So it's going to be Brian Sharp. We're going to get to see Barney wave the checkered flag for quite a bit because we've got to wait. We've got to wait for his arms. His arm's going to be tired. We've got to wait for Rick D and Brian Sharp to complete their final laps, and there they are. So the race is
fantastic job there.
The
top 10 drivers. We had 10 drivers on the lead lap here. That's especially after a long run at Nashville. That's a great race by those top 10 drivers.
Yes, indeed it is. Whew. My goodness gracious, Sam.
Man, that's some good racing. That is some good racing.
This
race really did prove to have a little bit of everything tonight. Great job by Greg Evans, who once again even despite the unfortunate mishap that happened earlier in the race with a big pack of cars that he was involved in, and of course, he's making contact with Kyle Heath, and then despite all that, he's still able to make his way back up and win. Dylan Godnez was not one that missed his opportunity of controversy tonight as well. He was involved in a couple of incidences, and Jason Heaney, who really did a wonderful job tonight, who led several laps and was able to manage to get a podium finish. I'm really impressed with some of the racing that went on tonight.
I am too, Sam. That was a fun one. So Evans, Godness, and Heaney are going to be the podium. James Hodgson, Joshua Siegfried are going to round out that top 5. Troy Carricker, he brings it home in 6th. Joseph Klein is 7th. John Hutchins 8th. Rick Fallis is 9th. And Brian Sharp, the final car on the lead lap, in 10th. Michael Moquin is going to be 11th. Corey Crandall 12th. Keith Graham 13th. Nolan Milnes brings it home 14th. How about Lee Campbell? He'll be 15th. Edwin James 16th. Vance Fisher 17th. Kendall Paul is 18th. Justin Osterman is 19th. And Mark Alouette rounds out your top 20. He soldiered home, Sam. 14 laps down.
Really big shout out to Mark Alouette. I really can't say enough about drivers, even though they're multiple laps down, that they're willing to stick it out and finish the race.
Yes, indeed. In 21st, David Dunwoody, all of these cars out of the race. Braden Langley, 22nd. Trevor Benz, 23rd. Austin Hund is going to be 24th. Ryan O'Donohue brings it home 25th after being fast, lightning fast early. Eric Corder, Sean Merriman,
Sure was.
Ted Craven, Kyle Heath, and Donald Green are going to round out the front 30. In 31st, Brian Wasserman. I assure you, Sam Crow did not start this race, and so there we are with
Not because I didn't want to.
There's Jason Heaney.
Oh, it just gives you the racing itch. If you're a driver and you want to do this, man, you watch races like this and you're just chomping at the bit wanting to get out there and race. So it certainly gets the adrenaline flowing when you see races like this.
It most certainly does. Speaking of races like this, let's talk to some of the guys who ran a race like this. Jason Heaney, you've got Mark and you've got Sam in the P1 broadcasting booth. You got a copy?
Yes, I got you guys.
Well, I tell you what, you look like you might have had the car to beat there for most of the second stage. The cautions didn't fall your way. Kind of tell us, kind of walk us through the thought process. And did you have anything for Greg and Dylan, or was it a matter of speed? Was it a matter of tires? Was it strategy, or was it all three?
I think I could have had something for him if I was even with him for that third stage. I kind of changed things up going into that caution near the end of stage 2 with about 15 to go. I pitted and took tires, and that kind of threw me off kilter, because then we had a restart, quick caution, and I was like, ooh, this is a hornet's nest, because I restarted like P8 and it didn't seem very good. So I came back down pit road and just kept topping off and just took care of the tires until the end of the stage so I wouldn't have to pit. So they had about 15 overall laps, but probably 7 green flag laps less on their tires when they pitted at the end of stage 2 to begin stage 3. And I gave up time to them, and then it going green like it did. Strategy made me kind of pit early, take a shot, see if I could, make some of it up, which I did, but obviously I was still down on tires to them once they pitted. But fast cars, Greg's fast everywhere. Didn't surprise me one bit. Dylan the same way, always running up front, and strategy put me in a spot where I just didn't have the right play tonight to battle with those guys at the end, but still a heck of a race, still a really fun race.
Yes, it was.
Jason, what a fantastic job tonight, man. We're thrilled to see you on a podium position. It was really, really good to see you running up front. You were certainly one of the faster cars, as Mark was saying during the second stage. You actually jumped out to one of the largest leads that we saw of the night with over 2.5 seconds. I'm just a little curious how now that we're starting this second segment of the season here in the Xfinity, the Blackmagic Studios Xfinity or Grand National Series. Well, can you give us a little insight about what your approach is going to be for this season? Now, how do you use a finish like this this and a run like this, that's such an ego boost. How do you use something like this as a catapult for the rest of the season?
Well, this is kind of what I do. So this being split into these 2 seasons as had made it to where, again, the first half I didn't qualify because I didn't get a win. I was running top 6 in the points, but too many guys got wins. So now I got to continue that. I've got to stay consistent and be up and get these top 10s and top 5s and some top 3s so I can come and talk to you guys every once in a while. And take that and round it up into the second half of the season, because if there's a lot of repeat winners that are already in, then that may save me a spot if I don't get a win. So I still got to protect. I still want to run and be up there in the top. But nights like tonight where I was playing the strategy to do something different, because I knew that I feel like if I race the same strategy as Greg tonight, that I probably would have lost to him. So trying something different, I didn't do something too outlandish, because then I don't want to give up a bunch of points. I did there at the end of stage 2, but I didn't want to get wrecked. And that caution happened after I went to the back, and that was right in the area where I was. So I felt like I made a good decision to kind of take myself out of trying for points at the end of stage 2 to have a good finish at the end. So that's kind of the thing. I still want to be there at the end. Stage points are important. I know that, and I want to race for them as much as I can. But obviously, I still want to protect to be able to continue to have decent finishes and not have DNFs, because that'll at least keep me up in the points for in case we have a lot of repeat winners from that first half of the season that are already in the playoffs. And that could put me in a position where if I don't happen to get one of these go right and get a win, at least I put myself in a spot where I still have a chance to make the playoffs.
Well, there's no question you put yourself in a spot to sit on the podium this week, and it was impressive. We look forward to maybe seeing you again in the coming weeks.
Absolutely, I'm going to keep trying.
Well, I tell you what. Now that you're here, the microphone is yours. Friends, family, sponsors, shout outs, Jason. You stand on the podium. You get the mic, my friend. Have at it.
All right. Well, I want to first thank off my family, thank my kids. They support me and like watching the races and stuff like that. So I really appreciate their support. Shout out to First Gear Racing, the league, the team overall. Really meshing and really, enjoying getting to race with each other here in this series, and AMA, of course, for putting all this together. And these races are super competitive, super fun, and it keeps us thinking, because these Xfinity cars handle a little bit different, obviously, than the next gen or the Gen 6 or even the trucks. And coming to a track like Nashville where I felt like the car was going to be loose, it really wasn't. It was tighter. And so
Yes, sir.
it brought a whole different aspect together to prep and prepare for. So shout out to you guys as well for doing the broadcast. Such a good job. It's fun to watch, and appreciate you guys for doing that.
We appreciate you too, Jason. That was Sam and I had a ton of fun calling this one. Go celebrate, my friend. You've earned it.
Will do. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Keep going fast and having fun. That's Jason Heaney. He is going to be, he's the bottom step of the podium. For the middle step, we're going to go find Dylan Godnez. Dylan, you've got Mark and Sam in the P1 broadcasting booth. You hear us?
What's up, guys?
I'll tell you what, that was a wild affair. You led some. You got as low as 13th at one point. Kind of tell us about your run. You mirrored Greg Evans at the end. Did you have anything for him, or was the deuce just in a different zip code?
I mean, that guy's a machine. Y'all watch him every week. I'm watching him from his rear bumper, trying to learn all I can from him. Y'all got to ride with me in the car next time so you can see what I'm seeing. But it's just, it's a lot of touch and go, a lot of learning. Yeah, I mean, we win some, we lose some, we wreck some, but this time it kind of had everything. Started pretty good, but I mean, this was just a track position race. Everybody was kind of going for it with the points reset, and it was exciting to have some guys who normally aren't up front be up there. Got to race against some guys that haven't been around much in this league, but yeah, I mean, it was just action-packed start to finish. Even when we were running by ourselves, it was very tedious work behind the wheel.
Dylan, another great run, and it's always great to have you in the booth with us. But this race was definitely one, as you were just alluding to. This was definitely a race where you got to see a little bit of everything, and so there was a lot going on during your race. How do you set your mindset when you're dealing with situations that you had to deal with, because there was several incidences where there was contact with other cars, and you pitted in that second stage to get fresh tires, and then there's lead cars that are on older tires, and then of course there's the melee ensuing ahead of you. So kind of give us a mindset of how you get back into a racing frame of mind after all of that occurring for you.
I mean, I've just been trying to put together the best races I can recently. Been on a roll. Just dropping the green flag. I want everybody to wonder how fast that 08's going to be every week. Like where's the 08 going to be at, type of thing. It's a lot of racing is it's almost psychological. Like you kind of got to be your own coach, your own crew chief, your own spotter. Just keeping your emotions down and just putting one foot in front of the other, or one lap in front of the other. One lap at a time. It really helps you set some race pace and just keeping the bigger picture in mind. Like I was saying, I mean, the points was reset. I've put on a good run so far this season. I'm grateful for all the help I've received to get to this point, and it's like there's a long way to go. It's a marathon, not a sprint. That's one of the things that I try to coach some of my buddies on, and it's kind of like just let it come to you. The more you try to outdrive your car and your potential, you have a chance of ruining your night and somebody else's night. But I'm glad I was able to rebound a little bit tonight through my mistakes.
All right, well then that leaves me with one more question for you, Dylan, if you got a second. I just want to ask one more question. You mentioned that you're following the deuce tonight, and you're just trying to learn. If Dylan Godinez is walking out of class tonight, what did you learn?
Be perfect. That's all you got to be to beat that guy. You got to be perfect. You got to make sure that you get past the lap cars as fast as you can. I think that was probably my biggest hurdle. My biggest hurdle tonight. I was hoping Kyle Heath was going to be up there with us. Usually I feel like it's like, when you're watching cars and it's the King, Chick Hicks, and Lightning McQueen. I feel like I'm always Lightning McQueen chasing those two. But yeah, I mean, you got to be perfect. It's repetition, the key to getting close to Greg. He's a great driver, and just one lap at a time. It's only 4 corners. You got to get through them all.
There you go, Dylan. Well, thank you so much for joining us in the booth and offering your perspective. When I race against Greg Evans, I feel like I'm the rusted out tow truck. So there you go.
Tow Mater.
That's right.
You got to come join us one time. Come out there with us one of these times.
Oh, I couldn't hang with you guys, but
I'll get you in a DGM car. Don't worry, we'll get you out there.
I've been asking Kendall Paul to let me race instead of being in the booth, but they won't let me.
We do appreciate your taking the time to join us in the booth. And as you ran second, you know the drill. Friends, family, sponsor, shout outs. The floor is yours, Dylan.
Yeah, I just want to thank everybody supporting week in and week out. Everybody watching at home. Everybody supporting from a distance. It's just fun to put on a show. Thank you to Tony G's Pub and Eatery, Eda Enterprises, Hair by Eliana, and Carolina Pro Late Model Series. Thank you to everybody for helping me get to this point.
Absolutely. Well, I'll tell you what, Dylan. Keep going fast, having fun, my friend, and we'll see you at the next one.
Yeah, sounds good, y'all. Take care.
Congratulations, Dylan.
Yes, sir. Let's get Dylan out, and we will bring in tonight's winner. This is Greg Evans. Greg, you've got Mark and Sam, and we'd be remiss if we didn't start with the incident that occurred on the backstretch and into turn 3. What happened down there? Greg, can you hear us? Greg, this is Mark and Sam in the P1 Broadcasting booth. You got a copy?
Yeah, I can hear you guys now. Can y'all hear me now?
The celebration must have started earlier.
I was going to say, is the mic covered in champagne, or are you off attempting to smash a guitar?
Or Kyle Heath got down to his hauler.
I don't know why Kyle would be at my hauler, but
well, I was going to ask. So what happened from your perspective in that whole thing? We saw some beating and banging, and you took a ride through the grass. Tell us what you saw.
Yeah, I got a good run off of 2, and Kyle was behind me, and I think he was behind me, and they all bunched up, so I pulled to the inside of the 8, and I don't know if the 8 just didn't know I was there, but he just hooked left, and I shot into the grass, and I tried my best to save it and let off the gas, and I put something on the brakes before I got into the corner and just slid up. I really don't even know who I hit. So
You hit Kyle. That's what
it
it was.
Kyle Heath.
no, I apologize to him.
That's why I was mentioning Kyle, because he was certainly, during his interviews during the race, he was not a happy camper.
Well, I'm sure if you look back at the replay, he would have seen it wasn't nothing intentional. So I mean, he's not the last guy to be mad at me, and he won't be wasn't the first, won't be the last. So.
Well, Greg, we're just a little interested. I know I talked to you earlier in the day, and you had mentioned to us that you were considering not qualifying, which is exactly what you and Kyle Heath both did. Can you give us a little insight of what was going through your mind as you were just driving up through the field and trying to make your way up, how you approached each stage? Because the majority of the first stage, you really lingered way back in the field and did not start moving until late. Not quite making the top 10, and then the second stage, it seemed like you pushed a little harder. But can you give us a little insight of what your thought processes were?
I just wanted to try something different. I always feel like you can learn more coming from the back, and then whenever you do get up front, if you do get up there, you just it gives you a little more of an advantage. It was a lot harder to pass tonight than I really expected it to be. I got through like the first 15 laps of that first run and started trying to push a little bit, and then I realized I don't know if it was dirty air or having to get on the brakes in the middle of the corner, not being able to carry your momentum, stuff like that. But it was tough to pass. And the longer the runs went, the more I found that every other track you go to, it pays to be patient and not aggressive, but it felt like the more aggressive that you got with the racetrack, the more it paid off. But it was fun. That second stage, staying out on tires, I thought I made a big mistake there, and all the cautions kind of fell in place, and to restart second on the last stage, I knew it was in a good position there too. So everything just played out good. I mean, there were several times in the race, like I said, where I felt like I wasn't in good position or just wasn't going to get there. But everything just kind of fell in our laps this evening.
Well, I'll tell you what, fall in your. Go ahead, Sam. I'm sorry.
No, I was just going to say things. Even considering the unfortunate situation on the backstretch, I mean, things certainly fell into a fair position for you, but also you have to take into account just your years of experience that you've got doing this.
Well, looking back at some of the chats here over this race, I feel like I might need to become a smarter driver, apparently. So we'll see what happens.
Well, I'll tell you what, there's nothing not smart about standing in victory lane. Greg, the school was in session one more time. You get to paint another flag on the side of the deuce. And so thank you so much for the healthy entertainment. Thank you so much for doing what you do. Friends, family, sponsors, shout outs, my man. You know the drill. You got the mic. Have at it.
Yeah, man. I like I said, I always got to thank Sim Magic, Sim Labs, Sim Shop. Got to thank my golden doodle Marley over here. She sits with me every night the one night that I do race, and sits, lays there, and I think she's ready to go potty now. So thank my wife and letting me do this one night a week, and thank you guys for broadcasting and AMA for hosting again. And we'll I think we're off. Are we off next week, or we got a race next week?
We are off next week.
We are off next week, yeah.
And you actually won this race to a record crowd for us this season.
That's right. We had
awesome.
We had over 100 concurrent viewers during this race.
We actually still have over 100 viewers right now during this interview.
That's right.
Yeah, it says 106 actually. So I don't know what the record is, but that's good that we got
Well,
the win
it's
tonight.
high
and
for the season for sure.
Yeah, it's
That's awesome.
it's bigger than Indy, and so what a huge.
We're certainly appreciative of all the viewers.
But yeah,
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you guys for tuning in, and hopefully after a week off, we can all kind of settle back down. The night was a little bit ugly all around, but hopefully the cooler heads will prevail, and maybe me and Kyle can talk and get everything settled back out here. Go back to racing.
I'm sure you guys are professionals. I'm sure you can.
absolutely.
Oh yeah, yeah. Like I said, it wasn't anything intentional. It wasn't anything that I felt like I did wrong. I just got down in the grass and tried my best to save the car. And I hate that I got into Kyle, but wasn't anything like I was aiming for him or anything like that. So, just unfortunate he was there. If he wouldn't been there, I'd have probably destroyed my car. So, hopefully, like I said, hopefully me and him can discuss something if we need to and move on from it and just keep racing hard.
There you go. Well,
One more question before you go, Greg. I did have one more question just to vilify my own commentary. But in the closing laps there, you closed in on Fallis and Sharp, who were battling for that 10th spot, the 9th and 10th spot. And so, was it your plan just to stick behind those guys and just as long as you kept that 2-second cushion so that you didn't jeopardize your lead? Where you just didn't want to take a chance in trying to move around them while they're battling it out?
Yeah, Rick's always been a close friend. I've always respected Rick. And I know I looked on my relative and seen that they were racing for 9th and 10th, and I knew I had a big enough lead that I could kind of settle in there and let those guys, at least race for those positions and not be not get too much involved in it. So yeah, I wasn't going to gain anything by going up there and ruining their race with each other. So I just figured I would settle behind them and let them figure out 9th and 10th.
there you go. Well, thank you so much for joining us in the booth, Greg. Go celebrate. Most importantly, get another checkered flag on the side of that car.
Thank you guys. We'll take a week off and we'll see you in 2 weeks.
Yes, sir.
Great job.
That is Greg Evans, the winner of tonight's Music City 250. Whew, Sam, we can breathe again.
No, I don't want to breathe. I kind of like having this catch in my chest. It's exciting. No, it's really good. The racing was excellent. Like I was saying earlier, it just seemed like that this race had a little bit of everything. I realized that there were some very fast cars that really fell into some ill repair. Just Rhino Donahue, man, he started this event off, and man, you talk about a scalded dog is what we call it here in the South. I mean, he was out and gone, and then he runs into trouble in the middle of the race, and then of course Kyle Heath, who is fast each and every week that he shows up and proves that he is he's one of the class of the field, and then of course he gets into an incident as well, and so it just opened up the door for some of these other drivers to really have some tremendous finishes. And so I think that this race had a little bit of everything, and I appreciate so much what the drivers are presenting here at the AMA, and we're hoping that they'll continue to bring the best that they have week in and week out. I almost dread the idea that we're off next week on Thursday simply because the racing has been so good.
And you said it, Sam. What a tremendous race tonight. The action was fast. It was furious, and it was through the field. And that's what I appreciated most out of tonight. Was just that it wasn't just a battle up front. It was a battle for 10th. It was a battle for 12th. It was there were battles everywhere on the track, and the racing was barring a couple of incidents, very very clean. And so definitely do appreciate that. If you'd like this one. We've got the top flight tomorrow. It's the AMA Archway Industrial Coatings Truck Series. It's going to be live from this track right here. It's 200 miles instead of 250.
Yeah, if you thought the Grand National cars were good, wait till you see the trucks.
Yeah, the trucks are going to be even more wild. A little bit less power, a little bit more downforce. They race very, very well here, and you'll get to see a lot of these same drivers in that field tomorrow night. That's going to be 8:20 for the pre-race, 8:35 start. Sam Crow and I both will be back tomorrow night here on the P1 Broadcasting Network we do have additional races upcoming here at P1. So tomorrow we're going to have dueling streams, Sam. It's going to be the Gary is going to have a special presentation of the IndyCar Open Top Split tomorrow night. Yeah. Well, with Monday being a holiday, typically we do not broadcast on holidays, and so that decision was made to move that race to Friday. On Saturday, we're going to have the IndyCar iRacing Series presented by 40 Racewear. That's going to go off at 2 o'clock on Saturday. Sunday night, the Joy of Driving presents the Dark Horse DW12 Series. That's going to be at Gateway, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard. Sunday night. Monday night, regular service comes back to P1. It's going to be Jacob Collins and I are going to have the call for the IndyCar Open Series Monday Night Top Split. That's going to be from Gateway, 8 o'clock here on P1, followed immediately by the Sim Gaming Expo ISRA Open Wheel Series. That's going to happen at 9:35. Tuesday night, we've got the IndyCar Oval Series live from New Hampshire at 8:15 p.m. This series is off next week, and so the next.
Then we have 3 really good races after that.
Yeah, we've got 3 really good races after that. So we'll be in for the Truck Series from Michigan. That's on June the 6th, Friday night, 8:20. And then a week from Saturday, a new IndyCar Triple Crown dawns. We're going to be doing some of the practice and the qualifying for the Hoosier 500 Open Wheels 500 race. That's going to happen in November, but a second Triple Crown has been added for the iRacing IndyCar community. That's going to be the 2025, the inaugural P1 600 presented by Techtopia. Mark your calendars, 2 o'clock, 600 kilometers at the Michigan International Speedway in IndyCars. 2 o'clock, Saturday the 7th. That's going to be the community's best. There's a nice pot of money on the line. Don't miss that one. For Sam Crow, our founder Gary Gatso, everybody at the P1 Broadcasting Network, I am Mark Murphy. We would like to wish all of our first responders, the police, the fire, the military, the EMT, the nurses, in the emergency room, all of the people that do the hard work in the middle of the night so that we can lay our heads on the pillow in peace. We certainly do thank and appreciate you. Sam?
Hey, loosen the belts, but only for 24 hours because you're going to put them right back on tomorrow night. We look forward to seeing all of you. Thank you all for tuning in. What a great crowd, and we appreciate you doing so much. Come back.
Good night, everybody.